In my previous life, I was kind-hearted and saved the nanny's daughter from human traffickers, but in the end I was abducted myself. 20 years later, I finally made my way back home after tremendous hardship, yet I discovered that my parents had adopted the nanny's daughter, letting her take my place and enjoy all the love and pampering. My twin younger brother, like a knight, was holding one of Lin Weitong's arms with each of his own. Our sister only has sister Weitong. Where did you come from? You country bumpkin. The childhood betrothal I had arranged also became Lin Weitong's fiancé. My fiancé looked at me with utter disgust. Just look at yourself. Do you think you're even worthy of comparing yourself to Lin Weitong? In the end, I was bullied to death by everyone and thrown into the sea. Heaven has eyes. It actually sent me back to 1 second before I saved Lin Weitong. At this moment, Lin Weitong looked at me with fear and begged for help, but I calmly turned and walked away. This time, it's your turn to be trafficked and experience my life. See you again in 20 years. Help, Song Yen Luo, save me quickly. Not far away, in the van, a little girl was clutching the door, crying heartbreakingly. I would never forget this familiar scene for the rest of my life. Wasn't this the day I saved Lin Weitong, only to be harmed by her, every day, every minute, every second afterward? I would never forget this moment. A little girl's strength was limited after all. Very quickly, she was dragged inside by the old woman. Help, Sister Yen Luo, save me. In my previous life, when I heard that cry on my way home from school, I immediately dropped my school bag and rushed forward, pulling Lin Weitong off the car. I grabbed her hand and ran with her into the alley, with the human trafficker chasing us closely behind. Just as we were about to successfully escape, the old woman was also about to catch up. Lin Weitong, who was behind me, panicked and grabbed me, then shoved me behind her with a backhand. Sister, I'll go find someone to save you right away. But in the end, I never waited for that. I was seized by an old woman, trafficked into the deep mountains and forests, and treated as a breeding machine. I gave birth to 8 children and worked like an ox and a horse for half my life, but Lin Weitong successfully escaped, claiming to be my lifesaver. She was taken in by my guilt-ridden parents and lived a happy life for her entire life as the adopted daughter of our family. Seeing that I did not respond, Lin Weitong immediately changed her story. Go catch her quickly. She's the daughter of a rich family. She's worth more. Don't catch me. The eyes of the people on the vehicle all turned toward me. Without the slightest hesitation, I immediately turned and ran. This time, it's your turn to experience the life I lived in my past life. See you again in 20 years. Lin Weitong is the daughter of the nanny. Aunt Lin, after learning that her daughter had been abducted and trafficked, Aunt Lin cried every day until her face was washed with tears, sobbing uncontrollably. But so what? Just like I was in my previous life, there was nothing I could change. In the endless deep mountains and old forests, there wasn't even a signal, one mountain rising higher than the next. I'm guessing Lin Weitong should have arrived there by now too. Lin's mother cried very sadly. She only had this one daughter, just as my parents only had me. After my parents lost me, they were just as heartbroken as Lin's mother at first, but later, because of Lin Weitong's attentive care and her so-called life-saving kindness, they adopted her. My parents gave all their love for me, their only daughter, to Lin Weitong. My princess bedroom became hers, my elite school became hers, and even my violin and piano became hers. I felt wronged. Lin Weitong took my parents, took my younger brother, and took my fiancé. By the time I got home first, everything was already set in stone. Rejected by her father and unloved by her mother, despite being the daughter of a wealthy family, she lived like a beggar. In the end, Lin Weitong admitted to me that she had deliberately pushed me back then. It was only after she saw me being abducted with her own eyes that she felt at ease and went home, and she hadn't called the police at all. I explained it to my parents, to my fiancé, and to my younger brother, only to receive looks of disappointment and contempt in return. You were really ruined by living in the countryside. After you came back, Weitong was so good to you, and yet you still wanted to slander her. Thank goodness the one who was abducted was you. It must be that you're too vicious, so even heaven can't stand it. Everything you're going through is what you deserve. Lin Weitong, your ability to win people over is truly impressive. I wonder whether it would still work in the deep mountains. Faced with the grief-stricken mother Lin, I would occasionally go over to her to comfort and advise her. After a while, Mother Lin's emotions had mostly eased, but she was still very sad. She looked at me gratefully. Miss, you're so kind. It's all thanks to your care during this time. I smiled. You don't have to call me Miss anymore. Just call me Yen Luo from now on. You can think of me as your other goddaughter. Mother Lin waved her hands in alarm and trepidation. How could that be, Miss? your status is so noble. I lowered my head in disappointment. Back then, although I did my best to save Wei Tong, she was still taken away. I feel very guilty. When Aunt Lin heard this, she hugged me heartbrokenly. Miss, you don't need to feel guilty. Maybe this is just fate. I'm already extremely grateful and moved that you were able to save Lin Wei Tong once. I curved the corners of my mouth where Aunt Lin couldn't see. Aunt Lin, why don't you go adopt another girl? This time, Aunt Lin didn't retort. I personally took Aunt Lin to the orphanage. At first, she wanted to adopt a boy to carry on the family line, but I rejected all of them. Since she was a substitute for Lin Wei Tong, she had to be exactly the same to be interesting. I took a liking to a little girl who was fighting a wild dog for food. She was dark and skinny, yet she fought so fiercely, especially the stubborn defiance in her eyes, which refused to admit defeat. I greatly admired. She has a wild streak and a temper. When she runs into that green tea girl Lin Wei Tong, all those green tea tricks are probably going to get beaten out of her. Her it is, I said, tapping her on the head. Mom Lin, you're definitely going to like her a lot. Lin Mom didn't understand why I insisted on choosing this dirty little girl, but anything I said was treated by Lin Mom as if it were imperial edict. Miss said it was good, so that's good. When I got home, the door had been cut from a single piece of Paraiba tourmaline, the entire wall lined with walnut bookshelves, and the glass floor beneath my feet inlaid with deep sea blue sapphires. This was where I belonged. Not that impoverished mountain valley. Seeing my twin younger brothers sitting on the sofa, I gave them a gentle smile. They then rushed over like two pugs and grabbed my arms. Sis, you're back. Sis, I missed you so much. I stroked their heads one by one, and they looked utterly content. I went out and helped Aunt Lin adopt a daughter. If you run into her, don't bully her. The twin brothers exchanged a glance and answered in unison. Got it. Sis, how could we dare not listen to you? Over the past few years, I no longer disciplined them the way I used to, telling them what was right and what was wrong, what they should do and what they shouldn't do. I, like Lin Wei Tong in a past life, no matter what they did, always gently tolerated them. Didn't want to study, fine. Wanted to play games, fine. Got into trouble, I would handle it. They could cause trouble to their heart's content, carefree and unconstrained, without having to study, just play and enjoy themselves. Little by little, they became more and more dependent on me, and more obedient to what I said. They would become the knife in my hand, clearing away every obstacle in my path. I remember that in my previous life, I thought it was because I had been away from home for too long, or because I had done something wrong, that my younger brothers hated me so much. I thought it was my fault. It wasn't until one time when I accidentally walked into their room that I found the walls covered with all kinds of candid photos of Lin Wei Tong, taken from every possible angle, with no respect for privacy whatsoever. I threw up on the spot. They were actually in that kind of relationship. No wonder every time that little green tea bitch cried, my two younger brothers always rushed to the front lines to play the righteous heroes. Having a woman like that as my sister is truly embarrassing. Everything in this house belongs to Wei Tong. Go back to your countryside, and don't even think about competing with her. I wonder whether, in this lifetime, the swords in my younger brothers' hands will point at the woman they loved most in their previous lives. After raising my two younger brothers into failures, I became my parents' favorite child. Reborn, I was like I'd activated a cheat code. The business and finance classes my younger brother kept fussing and refusing to take, I went to study. The horseback riding and fencing they didn't want to learn, I studied too, and I learned them better than they did. I learned so quickly and so well that, before long, the teachers who instructed me were replaced one after another, gradually becoming higher-level experts. The teachers all praised me highly. I was even the top student in the entire school every single time, never once dropping to second place. Praise for me came flooding in from everywhere, and my parents were overjoyed and carried away by it. Besides schoolwork, I also had to attend all kinds of training classes in my spare time: fencing, horseback riding, piano, ballet. I didn't miss a single course that an heir was supposed to learn. Gradually, my parents put all their energy into raising me, and left my younger brother entirely in my care. I smiled and agreed. Once he fell into my hands, could he still get away? Oh right, there was also my fiancé. Unlike Lin Wei Tong, I didn't go all out trying to please this golden ticket husband. Instead, I deliberately kept my distance. I would smile gently and warmly at everyone around me at school. Yet, with her fiancé, she had never once shown a smile, but he was hooked on exactly this. The colder I was toward him, the more he loved me, so madly that it drove him to the edge, even more than he had once loved Lin Wei Tong. People are like that. what they can't get is always the best. In my previous life, I was his lapdog, chasing after him, and he despised me. In order to help Lin Weitong secure her position as the adopted daughter, she did everything she could to pua me and brainwash me. She wanted me to give everything in the family to Lin Weitong, saying that I wasn't worthy and that I was just a bumpkin. Someone like me still wanted to pursue him. It really disgusted him, but in my previous life, I didn't understand. Clearly, the one who was engaged to him was me. Was I wrong to chase after my fiancé, just because my feelings disgusted him, and because Lin Weitong was unhappy? He had people gang rape me. That day, I was sitting in the living room watching TV when the news reported on the rescue of women and children who had been trafficked. I squinted and looked at the address below. It was right in the area of Dawan Township, Tongluo Town. With Lin Weitong's sly little wit, she really might seize the chance to run out. So I turned to my mother and said, "Mom, I want to go to Harvard Business School for further studies. Let's move to the United States together." At first, Mom and Dad were a little hesitant. Their companies were both in China, and if they suddenly went to live abroad, they were afraid they wouldn't be able to adjust. I smiled. I can also take the opportunity to help expand our family company's business in the United States. My ability in business had long been recognized by everyone. As soon as they heard me say that, my parents' eyes lit up, and they agreed immediately. The same was true of my two younger brothers. Wherever I went, they would definitely follow. A week later, all the paperwork was completed, and our whole family moved to the United States to live. Worried that I might not be able to adjust to the food, Mrs. Lin also came along out of concern. Before leaving, my mom asked me if I wanted to sell this old manor. I smiled and shook my head. No need, there are too many memories in here. I can't bear to part with it. My parents and younger brother exchanged smiles, thinking I was talking about the beautiful memories of growing up together with them, but in fact, all I had been thinking about was the humiliation, torment, and disdain I suffered in my previous life. Most importantly, what if Lin Weitong runs out by then and can't find her way home? I've been looking forward to the day she comes back. If Lin Weitong can remember everything from her past life, that would be even better. She would see for herself that the adoptive parents who cherished her like a treasure, the younger brother who obeyed her without question, and the wealthy husband she went to great lengths to hook, would all stand on my side. There are still 5 years left. Lin Weitong. 5 years later, I earned both my undergraduate degree and my master's degree from Harvard, and at the same time, I expanded my business in the United States to 10 times its original size. After everything was fully handed over, I took my parents back to China. I returned to that familiar estate once again. On the way home, a disheveled woman suddenly darted out from the roadside, startling the driver into slamming on the brakes. My twin younger brothers, Yixing and Ichi, hurriedly shielded me and said in unison, "Sis, are you okay?" I shook my head. "I'm fine. Hurry and get out to take a look. It looks like we may have hit someone." After they finished checking and were sure I was really okay, Yixing and Ichi finally got out of the car with gloomy expressions. The moment the crazy woman saw my two younger brothers, her face instantly lit up with delight. "Xing, Ichi, it's me, I'm Weitong, your sister." Yixing and Ichi exchanged a look, both wearing the same expressions of disgust and confusion. "Where did this lunatic come from?" "Get lost," Lin Weitong muttered ingratiatingly with a flattering smile. "Oh, right, you must have already forgotten me. It's okay, I'll slowly help you remember." Xing and Chi both looked speechless. They really seemed to have run into someone with a problem in the head. "Security, hurry up and throw this person out." The security guard stepped forward and, each grabbing one of Lin Weitong's arms, held her up. "Take your dirty hands off me, don't touch me, Xing, Ichi. I'm really your sister, believe me." "Ah." Yixing and Ichi didn't look back. With disgust all over their faces, they climbed into the car and leaned against my shoulders acting spoiled. "Sis, good thing you didn't get out of the car just now. The woman outside is a total psycho, and she even fantasized about being our sister. Just look at her, what an ugly monster. How could she possibly compare to you, sis? You've always been number one from childhood to now." Xing and Ichi looked at me with sparkling eyes, like two little dogs. I smiled. "Don't belittle others, everyone has their own strengths." Ichi looked at me disapprovingly. "Sister, you're just too kind." The car started again and drove into the manor. Lin Weitong's unruly figure in the distance grew farther and farther behind me, and the smile at the corners of my mouth grew deeper and deeper. After 20 years, we finally met. It seems Lin Weitong has already recovered memories of her past life. Since that's the case, I'll be even less merciful. That way, things will be even more interesting. won't they?" After I went back, I asked around and heard that Lin Weitong had been lurking at the manor gate 5 years ago. Every day she would mutter to herself and peer inside. She came day after day, never missing one, and everyone thought she had gone crazy wanting to marry into a wealthy family. The next day, after Lin Weitong had been keeping watch outside the manor for a day and a night, she finally found a chance to have someone pass a message, and just after I finished breakfast, I heard the butler telling Lin Ma that the woman outside was claiming to be Lin Ma's long-lost daughter. With a sharp crack, the plate in Lin Ma's hand shattered. "My daughter is back." Behind me stood a stern-faced woman, faithfully and dutifully keeping watch over me. Hearing this, she slightly lifted her eyelids. She was the girl I had Lin Ma adopt from the orphanage back then, and now she had become my personal bodyguard over the years. The bond between her and Lin Ma had grown incredibly close under my deliberate guidance. The smile at the corner of my lips deepened. After a full 20 years, Lin Weitong and I had finally met. Lin Weitong specially changed into a little white dress today and washed her hair. Compared to the disheveled look she had yesterday, she looked all right, but she didn't know that a white dress would only make her look even darker. As if she had just come out of a coal mine, her hair was yellow and dry, clearly lacking nutrition. At a glance, she looked exactly like a middle-aged woman secretly wearing her daughter's clothes. Aunt Lin wrapped her arms around her body, feeling here and there. "Nini, you really came back. I've searched for you all these years so bitterly." Lin Weitong shifted her body uncomfortably, as if she didn't like Aunt Lin's touch very much. I didn't miss the fleeting look of disgust in her eyes. She actually despised her own biological mother for being a maid. Although she was being held in Lin Mom's arms, her eyes looked at my parents with excitement. Her eyes were red, and large tears rolled down from them. "After a full 20 years, I've finally come back. Dad, Mom, little brother, I missed you so much." Aunt Lin thought she had misheard. Where would our family have a younger brother? I stood a short distance away, staring coldly at Lin Weitong. Lin Weitong's skin was sagging, and her complexion was dull, as if her life force had been drained dry. When I ran out of the mountains in my last life, I had left all 8 precious sons behind in the mountains. I don't know whether Lin Weitong also gave birth to 8 in this lifetime. She probably did, otherwise she wouldn't look like this now. Clearly she should be a girl in her early 20s, yet she looks as old as someone in her 40s. When she saw me, Lin Weitong's gaze instantly turned vicious, and her expression darkened. Her face was filled with jealousy, resentment, and malice. It was as if I had taken everything that should have been hers. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "And she's already feeling wronged over this." I remembered the day in my previous life when I found my way back home. No one in the family welcomed me, as if I were a stranger. My twin younger brothers, Yixing and Ichi, stood on either side of Lin Weitong like knights, each holding one of her arms. "Mom, Dad, have you had the DNA tested? Is this old woman really our sister?" I hadn't even had a bite to eat before I was forcibly dragged to the hospital for an examination. After getting the test results, their attitude only got worse, and their eyes were full of disgust. "Having a sister like this is truly embarrassing. Taking you out would be way too embarrassing, wouldn't it? How could you compare to Weitong?" Honestly, I suspect they might have switched the babies back then. "Maybe Sister Weitong is the one who's really your biological child." The two of them looked down at me and scanned me from head to toe, their eyes as if they were looking at a pile of trash. Lin Weitong was wearing a white dress and came up warmly to link her arm with mine. "Sis, welcome to our home." In a place where no one else could see, she dug her nails hard into my arm. I flinched in pain and instinctively shoved her away. "Ah," the little green tea immediately pretended to fall, her eyes brimming with tears. "It's okay. Maybe my sister is just too nervous after getting home and isn't used to it yet, seeing their beloved little green tea fall." My twin brothers each grabbed one of my arms and threw me out of the manor. It was winter, and I remember being frozen for 3 full days and nights before I passed out and was carried back inside. My parents looked calm, making no attempt to stop them. When I was carried back in, the whole family was happily eating at the dining table. I finally made it home, but I felt like I was in hell. In her previous life, Lin Weitong wore nothing but custom designer clothes. Her skin was well cared for, fair, soft, and delicate, and her figure was stunning. But now, Lin Weitong was overworked and bloated, looking as if she had suffered a lifetime of hardship, with not a trace left of the wealthy young lady she used to be. Soon, she spotted Yixing and Ichi standing beside me, her eyes lighting up as she tried to use the same method from her previous life to win over my younger brother. Lin Weitong, dressed in a carefully matched little white dress, hopped over to them, pretending to be a gentle and kind white Lotus, her voice pitched so high it seemed to reach the heavens. Yixing and Ichi, hello, from now on we'll all be living together, so just think of me as your older sister, please take good care of me. After saying that, Lin Weitong playfully winked, leaning her body slightly forward, revealing a patch. She probably forgot what she looks like now, bloated, with oily, rough skin and calluses all over her hands. Can you imagine a woman in her 40s acting coquettishly and affectatiously toward you? A look of disgust appeared on Yixing and Ichi's faces at the same time, and they were so startled that they immediately stepped back 3 paces. Xing even vomited on the spot. No, who are you, ma'am? Lin Weitong's expression cracked on the spot. Ma'am, I'm your older sister. Lin Weitong is now far shorter than she was in her previous life, and on top of that she's swollen and dark-skinned. From a distance, she looks like a ball. Even Lin's mom looks more like the daughter than she does. I looked at Lin Weitong with admiration. She was doing much better than I had in my previous life. Back then, I was so starving that I didn't have an ounce of flesh on me. At least she had gained quite a bit of weight. Xingyi looked utterly exasperated. Auntie, get lost. Who's your little brother? I have my own sister. Okay, why does every random weirdo want to latch on? Are you out of your mind? Ichi looked cold and disgusted. Get your identity straight, you're just the maid's daughter. Also, you don't live with us, you live in the maid's quarters in the building next door. Our family treated the help well, and even the maid lived in a villa, just a slightly smaller villa, that's all. After speaking, Xingxing and Chi-Chi huddled closely on either side of me like little puppies. We only have sister Yen Luo. Lin Weitong's face stiffened, and the look in her eyes toward me grew even more malicious. She muttered under her breath, they're obviously my little brothers. They should all be so in love with me they'd die for me. That's right, right now they just aren't familiar with me yet, and they've only been blinded by that bitch. Later on, I'll slowly straighten Xingxing and Chi-Chi out. My hearing is good, and when I heard those words, I almost couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Seeing me mock her, a vicious look surfaced on Lin Weitong's face. Thinking of something, she took a step forward and came closer to me. Just like in my previous life, Lin Weitong used the same old trick again, and I went along with it, seizing the chance to give her a shove. This time, Lin Weitong didn't fake the fall, she hit the ground hard, and I even heard the cracking sound of bones. In my previous life, she faked a fall. In this life, I really pushed her. Lin Weitong's face twisted for a moment before quickly returning to a pitiful expression. Sister, I just wanted to say hello. Why did you push me? Unfortunately, no one appreciated her performance. Mom and Dad, Yixing and Ichi, and even Aunt Lin all gathered around me. Yen Luo, are you hurt? Are you okay? That disgusting beggar actually touched you. Sister, I'll use a handkerchief to wipe you off later. Miss, were you frightened? Lin Weitong sat dazedly on the cold floor, her face full of disbelief. It was clearly her who got hurt, wasn't it? At least come over and take a look at her. Okay. Are you all out of your minds? Xing and Ichi walked over to Lin Weitong with gloomy expressions. A flash of surprise crossed Lin Weitong's face, but she quickly resumed playing the pitiful victim. Thank you, I'm fine, it's just, unfortunately. Before she could finish speaking, she was interrupted. The chewing gum in Yixing's mouth was spat onto her face with a smack. Damn green tea bitch, you dare try to scam my sister, I'll make you regret it. With that said, Yixing kicked her hard in the stomach, sending her all the way to the door with one blow. Ichi pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose. Since you like to play the victim, then keep playing it all the way to the end. Xing-yi and Chi stepped forward, gripping Lin Weitong's arms tightly and dragging her all the way along before throwing her outside the manor's railing. No, you have to believe me, it was really her who pushed me, I'm not lying. Who would have thought that even her own mother, Lin Ma, would glare at her fiercely. You are not allowed to slander the young lady. The young lady is so kind, she even specially prepared a bedroom for you in order to welcome you back, and now you're actually spreading rumors about her in front of everyone. My parents even shook their heads at her. We originally wanted to take good care of her for Aunt Lin's sake, but we didn't expect her to be so clueless. I gave Lin Weitong, who was being dragged along the ground, a gentle smile and mouthed silently to her, I pushed you on purpose. Lin Weitong's eyes suddenly widened. Look, everyone, Song Yen Luo admitted she pushed me. Yixing directly stuck bubble gum over her mouth. You're lying again. So disgusting. Lin Weitong was directly thrown out, and her white dress was covered in dirt from the ground. Her hands gripped the railing, and her gaze at me was full of malice. I know now, you were reborn too, weren't you? No wonder you didn't save me back then. It poured all night last night, and the next day. Lin Weitong was finally brought back to the manor. Soaked to the bone, I watched leisurely from the second floor as she came in looking as miserable as a stray dog. No big deal, compared with when I was thrown out for 3 days and 3 nights in the dead of winter in the 12th lunar month. This was nothing much. She was only mistaken by Ishingichi for a gold digger, that was all. She was already driven out by us, and yet she still wants to crawl back in like a dog. Didn't she see that none of us welcome her? She's after our family's conditions, that's all. If it weren't for Aunt Lin taking care of us for decades, with a daughter like that, Dad and Mom would have kicked her out long ago. I gave a faint smile but said nothing, only gently teaching them. She's only suffered in the mountains, you should be a little more tolerant of her. Shinji and Ichi exchanged a glance. Their sister was far too kind. As for obstacles like this one that got in the way of their sister, they would take care of it. On the sofa, Aunt Lin took Lin Weitong's hand and sat her down. She instructed Lin Weitong that she shouldn't have spoken to me like that a few days ago. I was the eldest daughter of the family, and she should respect me and take care of me, always yield to me in everything, and put me first in all matters. Lin Weitong probably understood it too. She had only just arrived, and she couldn't beat me yet, so she pretended to be obedient and nodded in agreement. It was just that I could see her expression was so suppressed that it looked almost distorted. TSK. That act isn't as good as it was in her past life. Afterward, Lin Weitong started playing the victim again, saying how miserable her life had been over these years, and how the family that had trafficked her had enslaved and abused her. When she came of age, she still couldn't go to school and had never been educated, spending every day at home working day and night. This gradually made Lin's mother's heart lean more and more toward her side. Lin Weitong never mentioned the fact that she had given birth to a child. The smile on my lips grew deeper and deeper. In my previous life, I also didn't dare bring it up. As a result, on the day I brought my boyfriend home, Lin Weitong suddenly showed up with my child in tow. She preached morality at length, looking at me with blame. Yan Luo, how could you leave all your children in the mountains? They're still so little. How pitiful. They're all just children. What's wrong with that? Look, I've brought them all back. You must really miss them, right? The 8 boys pounced on me all at once like starving wolves seeing meat, leaving my body covered in blue and purple pinch marks. Mom, we miss you so much. My boyfriend shoved me away, looking at me with utter disgust. Song Yan Luo, you're disgusting. Aunt Lin wiped away her tears and suddenly thought of something. She said to Lin Weitong, oh, right, you have an older sister. You haven't met her yet, have you? Lin Weitong, who had been crying miserably, froze at once. Since when do I have an older sister? Even after she left, her mother had another child. Shouldn't that have been a younger sister? Aunt Lin explained. Your sister is a very nice person. You'll definitely like her. After you left, I missed you so much. It just so happened that the young lady suggested I might as well adopt one from an orphanage, so that there would be someone to take care of me in the future. Who would have thought that Wan Wan would be so good to me? She treats me exactly like her own mother and shows me such filial respect. I really didn't raise this daughter for nothing. I came downstairs with Wan Wan, and Aunt Lin unconsciously began to show concern for her, asking her whether she had slept well last night, how the food was, and whether the dishes suited her taste. Before they knew it, they had completely forgotten about Lin Weitong, who was standing nearby. Lin Weitong sat on the sofa in shock. In the end, Wan Wan was the first to walk over and greet her. Hello, you must be my younger sister. Lin Weitong shoved Wan Wan's hand away, her expression one of utter disbelief. This was her own biological mother. Mom, I left and you didn't come looking for me, but instead went and adopted someone else's child. How can you call yourself a mother? Am I even your biological daughter anymore? Mother Lin's expression was extremely awkward. Weitong, I had no choice either. Let me explain. Watching Lin Ma and Lin Weitong loudly accusing each other in the living room, I shrugged and quickly pulled Wan Wan away. Their biological mother and daughter dealing with a family issue, let's not get involved. Wan Wan agreed wholeheartedly. She was also worried that Lin Weitong, with her muddled head, might hurt me. Despite being biological mother and daughter by blood, they were now shifting blame onto each other, tearing into each other, and accusing one another. This is no different from my parents in my past life. Oh, right, back then. Being able to find those 8 children of mine deep in the mountains was all thanks to Mrs. Lin's information network. I heard she personally brought those 8 beasts out. She was afraid that after I came back, her biological daughter Lin Weitong's position would be shaken. How ridiculous, dear Lin Weitong. Are you now also experiencing the feeling of having your biological parents stolen away? Not only your biological parents, but even your twin younger brother, who loved and doted on you in your previous life, is now standing on my side unconditionally. Your adoptive parents, who once gave you endless wealth, don't even know you at all now. In order to survive in this family, you even have to go to great lengths to please me, the one you hate the most. Feel wronged, angry, feel like it's unfair. After finally making it back through so much hardship, you discover that nothing in this home belongs to you anymore. This is only the beginning. Enjoy it properly. Lin Weitong, just like I once did, clearly the eldest daughter of a wealthy family, yet my identity was forced to be changed to the daughter of a housekeeper, yet everyone took it for granted, and no one was willing to acknowledge my true identity, just because everyone looked down on me for growing up in the mountains, deeming me unworthy of being associated with them and lowering their status. So what if we were related by blood? After that farce, Lin Weitong refused to let it go and kept pestering Yixing and Ichi, trying every day to find ways to follow behind them. Even if Yixing and Ichi were disgusted and repelled by her, Lin Weitong still looked perfectly content and pleased with it. She believed she would definitely be able to set them straight, since the two of them had liked her in her last life. Then in this life they would definitely fall in love with her too. Lin Weitong was utterly convinced of this. Yixing and Ichi complained to me that they wanted to throw Lin Weitong out of the estate. This woman is absolutely disgusting, pure sexual harassment. She walks around in front of us every day with her upper body bare, and even a dress can't cover it. But I patted their heads and rejected the suggestion, silencing them with just one line: people should be kind. Of course, the three of you have to be locked together, otherwise where would I go to watch the joke? Xing and Ichi are very obedient to me, since I said Lin Weitong couldn't leave. Of course she couldn't be chased out. 1 star, 1 chess piece can only have their faces twisted and be harassed every day, which makes me overjoyed. In my past life, these two younger brothers of mine were really inseparable from Lin Weitong. They couldn't bear to leave her even for a single step. My sister only has Weitong. Even if you come back home, don't even think about taking Weitong's place. Having blood ties with someone like you is truly disgusting. Luckily you were taken away, otherwise we wouldn't have sister Weitong. TSK, why do you look down on this life so much? Lin Weitong kept clinging to Yixing and Ichi, trying to win them over with her gentleness, and even attempting to brainwash Yixing and Ichi. I see your sister seems to go to the company to work every day. Why don't you two go too? Be careful, she'll take the company away from you. They both looked at Lin Weitong wordlessly. What do you mean, stole it? The entire group has always belonged to our sister. Lin Weitong's face instantly turned green. What? The group should belong to the two of you. How could she, a woman, possibly get any shares, even in her last life? When her parents had loved her so dearly, they had never given her a single penny of shares. Why should Song Yenluo, that bitch, have any? Xing and Ichi looked utterly speechless. What's wrong with being a girl? My sister is exceptionally talented. Under her leadership, the group earns more every day. Besides, she's the eldest daughter, so the group should have belonged to her alone in the first place. Lin Weitong looked at them in utter disbelief. Your dad's sons. How could you possibly not have any shares? In my past life, the group was clearly just the two of yours. Yixing and Ichi exchanged a glance, feeling even more desperate inside. This crazy woman was spouting nonsense again. What past life? They thought this woman's brain must be sick, fantasizing all day long about being their older sister. How disgusting. Don't you even look at whether you're worthy of it. Stop telling us all this nonsense. Do you know my sister graduated from Harvard Business School? Forget it. You've never even been to school. What would you know? Lin Weitong was still immersed in the news that the company was mine, completely deranged, mumbling to herself, impossible, this is impossible. Mom and Dad loved me so much, and still didn't hand the group over to me. The group was clearly supposed to be managed by the two of you. Why should that slutty woman? Xing and Ichi had already run far away. They were truly fed up with this woman's harassment. During this time, Lin Weitong was busy trying to win over my twin younger brothers, so she hadn't bothered me again. I had assumed she would behave herself for a while, but I never expected her to have secretly been cooking up a big move. While I was hosting my birthday banquet, Lin Weitong suddenly popped out of nowhere and snatched the microphone from my hand. In front of all the guests, she looked utterly excited and tried to expose my true colors. The Song Yenluo you worship is actually no different from a human trafficker. She's vicious, sinister, selfish, and deceitful. I was abducted back then, all because Song Yenluo stood by and did nothing. She clearly saw me being taken away, but she ran off without even looking back, and she didn't even help me call the police. She caused me to be tortured in the deep mountains and old forests for more than 20 years. It's all because of you, Song Yanluo. Lin Weitong looked smug. This time, the halo around your goddess should finally disappear, right? The guests below hurriedly covered their mouths and started discussing, making the place lively in an instant. I didn't explain a single word. Xing Yi and Yi Qi didn't believe a single thing Lin Weitong said at all. They went straight onto the stage, dragged Lin Weitong down, and pinned her to the ground. I've put up with you for a long time during this period. How dare you even frame my sister? How dare you? With a dark expression, Lin's mother stepped forward and, with her rough hands, slapped Lin Weitong twice across the face. I originally felt guilty for having wronged you for so many years, and even wanted to use these years of savings to send you abroad to study and live a good life. I never expected you to dare slander the young lady. My parents shook their heads in disappointment. My daughter would never do something like this. Aunt Lin, your daughter should stop living in our house. Just kick her out. I didn't even need to say a single word in explanation. Everyone would stand on my side. I gave Lin Weitong a faint smile. When Lin Weitong saw my smile, she seemed to go crazy, hurling furious insults at me non-stop. Every time she cursed, Wanwan would be slapped once, but Lin Weitong kept on cursing even with her face swollen and red. I had it even worse than this back then. Back when I told the truth, I was not only slapped, but also stripped naked and thrown into the middle of the street. They said I was lying and that I could forget about smearing Lin Weitong's good name. I was stripped naked and thrown onto the street as punishment. Lin Weitong kept rattling on non-stop. I remember there were surveillance cameras on that street. Go check them, go investigate. Everything I said is true. Xing, Ichi, let go of me. Actually, I'm your older sister. You've both been fooled by that shameless woman. If she hadn't sold me, the one you should have loved would have been me. Everyone looked at Lin Weitong as if she were crazy. Yixing and Ichi exchanged a glance, goosebumps rising on their arms. This woman really had delusions of grandeur, didn't she? Who would ever want her as their sister? How embarrassing. They even said things like they liked her, and Lin Weitong was actually fantasizing about dating them all day long. Disgusting, disgusting. It was truly disgusting. Xing and Ichi couldn't hold back and vomited again in front of everyone. Ugh. Xing stepped forward and kicked Lin Weitong hard again. You damned woman, stop fantasizing about me. Just thinking that I'm all you've got on your mind makes me want to puke. The security guards had already dragged Lin Weitong out of the banquet and thrown her outside. Don't throw me out. Lin Weitong looked at my parents pleadingly. Mom and Dad, save me. I'm your daughter. You should love me the most. You two old fogies clearly said the one you loved most was me, your daughter. The one you should dote on most should be me too. The one who should have been abducted and sold should be that bitch Song Yanluo. My parents stood on the stage to stabilize the situation. Everyone has seen it. That woman is merely the child of our family's maid, but she's suffering from delusions. We hope everyone won't take her nonsense to heart. The guests felt relieved, but hearing what the woman had just said, she really did not seem normal. What's all this about past lives and previous lives? So long-winded. Hearing Lin Weitong belittle me like that. Yixing and Ichi even shoved aside the security guard's hands and personally dragged Lin Weitong out. Lin Weitong's screams rang out from outside. No one knew how she was being treated. I took a light sip of red wine. Good wine. In this scene, I don't even need to open my mouth. Outside, even though Lin Weitong had been beaten until her face was swollen like a pig's head, she still refused to change her story. Yixing, Ichi, you must believe me. It was Song Yanluo who harmed me back then. Otherwise, I really would have been your older sister. Yixing and Ichi exchanged a glance, a trace of uncertainty flashing in their eyes, after driving Lin Weitong out. The next day they got the surveillance footage that Lin Weitong had mentioned. Yes, I deliberately didn't delete it and specifically left it there for them to find, but I waited several days and still didn't get Yixing or Ichi to show me the footage or come question me about it. I pretended not to know about this and took the initiative to ask the two of them about the surveillance footage. Unexpectedly, the two of them told me with complete certainty that there had never been any such surveillance in the first place, and that Lin Weitong was just spouting nonsense. I once again became certain in my heart that Yixing and Ichi had destroyed the surveillance footage that was unfavorable to me in order to protect my reputation. How obedient. So even if the two of them discovered my true colors, they would definitely still stand on my side, right? I whispered softly into both of their ears, but I seem to have remembered. It really was me who stood by and did nothing when Lin Weitong was in danger. I feel so guilty that I can't sleep at night. if only Lin Weitong could disappear. I said the same thing to my fiancé as well. Less than a month later, I heard the news that Lin Weitong had accidentally fallen into the sea that night. Xingxing and Ichi crouched by my bed with bright, sparkling eyes. Sis, have you heard? That crazy woman accidentally fell into the sea today. No one will ever say a bad word about you again. Sis, you can sleep soundly now. Even my fiancé texted me, telling me not to worry so much, that everything had already been taken care of. I smiled without saying a word, looking at the secretly recorded video on my phone. This month, I sent 3 private investigators to follow them and directly recorded the methods they used to brutalize Lin Weitong. After obtaining this footage, I immediately called the police without saying a word. At the police station, Xing, Ichi, and my fiancé all insisted that this matter was their own idea and had nothing to do with me at all, but I refused to let them have their way. When they were in prison, I even went to visit them in person. The video of you killing people was handed over to the police by me. Xing and Chi both looked up at me in disbelief, their lips trembling. Sister, why? After saying that, they slapped themselves twice. Sis, we were wrong. It must be that you were worried we'd go down the wrong path, so you thought of calling the police. Sis, all of this was our own idea. Please don't feel guilty. I gave a light laugh. You really have been trained like dogs. To tell you the truth, I did it on purpose. What Lin Weitong said wasn't wrong either. In my previous life, she really did become your older sister, and you were hopelessly in love with her. Yixing and Ichi looked at me in shock. How is that possible? I went to visit my dear fiancé and told him what had just happened all over again. You're about to go down and keep your real fiancé company. Happy. 1 month later, the 3 of them were executed. I heard that while they were in prison, they had already gone insane, and every day they kept muttering, I'm sorry. They said things like, we shouldn't have treated you that way in our previous life. It was our fault. We deserved it. Even dying would be what we should do. It sounded like they had also regained memories of their previous life. That's wonderful. I didn't get revenge on the wrong person. All of their souls are the same soul from a previous life. By the way, I also brought out Lin Weitong's 8 sons from the mountains and gave them all to Aunt Lin to raise. After all, they're her grandsons. Aunt Lin is going to have a happy later life. Today's sunshine is really nice. I'm finally free. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The judge's voice struck her ears, and Han Pundi suddenly snapped back to reality. She had been reborn, returning to the day she divorced Zhang Jianjun. In her previous life, she had tearfully fought for custody, holding her young son in her arms, and walked out of the courtroom step by step under the sympathetic or disdainful gazes of the crowd. From then on, her life was reduced to only one identity, mother. In the biting cold of winter, her hands cracked open with bloody wounds as she pushed her snack cart through the streets, shouting out her wares. Every penny she earned was spent on her son. In the scorching summer sun, she sunburned and suffered heatstroke, yet she never took a single day off, just because her son said he wanted the latest snacks and branded sports shoes. When her son needed to attend a key middle school, she drained her savings. When he needed to go to university, she worked dawn to dusk. When he needed to buy a house, she took on loans. When he needed to marry, she had aged into an old woman, but in the end, in that cold winter month, she was kicked out of the house she had bought, treated like trash by her own son. Mom, stop making a scene here. This house is for my wedding. His voice came through the door, cold as if speaking about a stranger. On her deathbed, she had only one thought. If there was a next life, she would never live for anyone else again. Han Panty, have you decided about the child custody? The judge's voice rang out again, pulling her back to reality from her memories. The air in the courtroom was stifling, making it hard to breathe. The sunlight outside was bright, yet it couldn't penetrate the lifelong ice that had frozen her heart. She would never forget how she had been held captive by that one word, Mom. For her entire life, for this role, she had given up her interests, her dignity, and every chance to live for herself. She had poured out her heart, scrimped and saved, giving everything she had to her son, only to end up being kicked out of the house and freezing to death in the hallway. Zhang Jianjun, the deadbeat dad, lived a carefree life, almost never fulfilling his responsibilities as a father, relying solely on a few sweet words to win his son's unwavering loyalty. Meanwhile, she, the mother who had endured countless hardships, became an unwanted and annoying burden. True sincerity cannot satiate a heartless wolf, and weakness earns no sympathy. This time, she will not repeat the same mistakes. Han Panty, have you made up your mind? who will the child belong to? The judge's inquiry, clear and distinct, fell into her ears. Han Pundi slowly raised her head, her eyes calm but carrying an unwavering determination. The child belongs to his father. I relinquish custody. Her mother-in-law grabbed her arm tightly, her nails almost digging into her flesh. Pundi, are you crazy? That's flesh from your own body. If you don't want him, what will happen to him in the future? With Zhang Jianjun's character, the child will only learn bad habits if he stays with him. Relatives nearby chimed in with their opinions. Exactly, how can a mother abandon her child? What will people say about you if this gets out? You're young now, feeling carefree, but when you're old and have no one to take care of you, you'll regret it. A child can't be without a mother. You can't be foolish. These words, in her previous life, pierced her heart with every syllable and destroyed her entire life. Back then, seeing her son's timid appearance, her heart softened, and she impulsively took the child away. But now, all that remains is bitter irony, regret. She had regretted enough in her previous life. Zhang Jianjun, sitting across from her, froze in an instant, almost jumping out of his chair. Han Panti, what did you say? Say it again. He had thought that this woman would, like before, cry and beg to take the child away, and he could continue his carefree life of eating, drinking, and having fun. But Han Panti simply washed her hands of the matter, completely disrupting his plans. I said, the child is yours. I'm not raising him. Han Panti gently pulled her hand back, her gaze cold and steady, meeting the judge's eyes, speaking slowly and clearly. Your Honor, I explicitly state that I relinquish my custody rights. My son will belong to Zhang Jianjun, and I will not raise him. As soon as the words left her mouth, the courtroom erupted in chaos. You heartless woman, that's your own son. How could you treat him like this? Are you even human? Zhang Jianjun shot up from his seat, pointing his finger at her and cursing loudly. Han Panti pulled the corners of her mouth, revealing a cold smile. Whether I am human or not, you know best. When I was young, you neglected the family, ignored the children, indulged in pleasure outside, and indulged in debauchery, leaving all the burdens of the household on me alone. Why didn't you think about whether you were human then? Now that the child has become a burden to you, you want to push him back to me so you can live freely. Zhang Jianjun, it's too late. From today onwards, the son is yours, and you are responsible for him. I'm done serving you. Her words were resolute, without a trace of lingering affection. Zhang Jianjun was rendered speechless by her, his face alternating between green and white, and in the end, he could only glare at her fiercely before collapsing into the chair. The judge was also a bit surprised, glancing at Han Panti and then at the ashen-faced Zhang Jianjun, and proceeded with the routine inquiry. Han Panti, are you certain? Once custody is determined, it cannot be changed at will. You need to think carefully. I am certain, and I will never regret it. Han Pundi's voice was not loud, but it struck like a heavy hammer on everyone's heart. She had thought it through clearly. In her previous life, she had sacrificed her own life for this son, given up all possibilities, and ended up old and alone, with no one to depend on and no place to be buried. This time, she did not want to be the haggard housewife who revolved around her child, her husband, and the stove. She wanted to live for herself. The divorce proceedings were quickly finalized. The son, to Zhang Jianjun. Han Panti walked out of the courtroom, the sunlight warm on her skin. The heavy burden that had weighed on her heart for decades finally lifted. The pain, grievance, and despair of her previous life dissipated with this rebirth. She looked up at the sky and softly said to herself, from today onwards, I am no longer Han Panti, I am Han Qinghuan. Clear clarity, joyful joy. This lifetime, she would be clear-headed and self-loving, only seeking her own joy. Stepping out of the police station, Han Qinghuan tucked the household registration book into her innermost pocket. The three characters Han Qinghuan finally replaced the name that had oppressed her for a lifetime. Standing at the intersection, she took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of dust and smoke, which felt incredibly grounding to her. She didn't return to her parents' home. In her previous life, she had taken her son back with her, and her mother had scolded her for her hard life while simultaneously treating her like a free nanny, even calculating over a single hot meal. This time, she directly rented a small single room near the vegetable market for 300 yuan a month. It was cramped and damp, but it belonged solely to her. Early the next morning, before dawn, Han Qinghuan set out with the 800 yuan she had saved. She went to the wholesale market, where she bought flour, meat filling, green onions, ginger, and a second-hand snack cart. In her previous life, she had raised her son with this skill, but back then, every bun and every bowl of wonton she made was prioritized for her son, while she herself ate dry buns with pickles. This time, she would do it for herself. Just as the sky began to lighten, Han Qinghuan pushed her cart to the empty space at the entrance of the vegetable market and set up her stall. Her hands still bore the thin calluses of her youth as she kneaded the dough, prepared the filling, and rolled out the wrappers with quick and practiced movements. When the first batch of buns came out of the steamer, the aroma drifted on the wind, and people immediately gathered around. "Sister, your buns smell so fragrant. How much are they?" 1 yuan for 2, thin skin, generous filling, clean and hygienic. The first customer was an aunt selling vegetables. After taking a bite, her eyes lit up immediately. "Oh my, the filling is so delicious, much better than the ones at the corner of the alley." Word spread quickly. By noon, the 2 steamer baskets of buns Han Qinghuan brought were sold out. She counted the loose change in her hand, a total of 126 yuan. This was the first time in her life that she had earned money completely through her own skills, entirely for herself. She didn't save all the money like she had in her previous life. First, she went to a hair salon and got a neat short haircut, then spent 50 yuan on a clean cotton shirt and pants. Standing in front of the mirror, she looked at the woman in the reflection with bright eyes and no longer timid demeanor, and couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth. But the good days didn't last long before trouble came knocking. That afternoon, as Han Qinghuan was busy packing wontons for a customer, she heard a harsh shout from behind. "Han Pundi, get over here." It was Zhang Jianjun. In his arms, he held his son, who was as skinny as a monkey, his face full of rage, with 2 shifty-looking friends trailing behind. The surrounding customers immediately scattered, watching from a distance, their eyes filled with sympathy and the indifference of onlookers. "How dare you set up your stall here?" Zhang Jianjun shoved his son in front of her. "Look at him, he's been living hand to mouth with me, and you, as his mother, can bear to just stand by. Take the child away right now, or I'll smash your stall." The son timidly hid behind Zhang Jianjun, his eyes exactly the same as in her previous life, wet with tears as he looked at her, whispering, "Mommy, I'm hungry." In her previous life, Han Qinghuan's heart would have shattered by now. She would have immediately put down her work, hugged her son, bought him food with a heart full of pain, and once again tied him to her own life. But now, she just coldly looked on. "My name is Han Qinghuan, not Han Pundi." Her voice was calm, yet carried an undeniable force. "The divorce agreement is very clear. The son is under your custody. I won't be raising him. Whether he's hungry or not is none of my concern. You're fucking crazy." Zhang Jianjun was enraged by her attitude and raised his hand to strike. Han Qinghuan was prepared. She sidestepped to avoid the blow and picked up the rolling pin from the cutting board, pointing it at him. "Try moving again, I'll call the police right now, accusing you of causing trouble and disrupting my business." Her gaze was too calm, too resolute, and Zhang Jianjun was actually intimidated. He hadn't expected this woman, who used to never fight back, to now be so assertive. "You just wait." Zhang Jianjun left a harsh remark, holding his son and slinking away. People around were murmuring, "What happened to Han Qinghuan? She's like a completely different person, no matter how ruthless. That's still her own son. I think she's been wanting to get rid of this burden for a long time." Han Qinghuan ignored him completely. She picked up the rolling pin that had fallen to the ground, wiped it clean, and continued rolling out dough and wrapping wontons. The sunlight fell on her cheek, unwavering and calm. She clearly remembered that in her previous life, it was this constant calling of "Mom" that dragged her into an abyss from which there was no return. This time, she would not look back. From that day on, Zhang Jianjun came to cause trouble several more times. He left his son in front of the stall and hid in the distance to smoke. He spat and threw trash around the stall, trying to force her to compromise, but Han Qinghuan never wavered. She either directly called the police or simply ignored him, continuing her business as usual, setting up and closing the stall on time. Gradually, Zhang Jianjun also grew tired of causing trouble. He knew that this woman was truly determined and would never again let him manipulate her as she had before. Han Qinghuan's business, however, was booming. Her snack stall had become a golden brand. In the market, every day, people lined up before dawn, with regular customers bringing new ones, and her reputation grew like a snowball rolling down a hill. She hired an unemployed sister to help, while she focused on researching new flavors, introducing dishes like mushroom and green vegetable buns, leek and egg dumplings, and chilled rice jelly with shrimp for the summer. Half a year later, she had saved enough for 5,000 yuan. Unlike her previous life, where she would have saved the money for her son's wedding, she rented a fixed storefront in the market and opened a small, Qinghuan snack shop. On the day of its opening, she posted a couplet at the door. Top line, live life with clarity and integrity. Bottom line, enjoy life with joy and happiness. Horizontal line, live for oneself. When the firecrackers went off, Han Qinghuan stood at the shop entrance, watching the bustling customers, her heart at peace. She knew this was just the beginning, her life was only now turning a new page. The day the sign for Qinghuan Snack Shop went up, the entire street came alive. The red vinyl banner with its golden lettering stood out sharply among the drab storefronts. Han Qinghuan, dressed in a beige linen suit, her hair neatly tied back, stood at the shop entrance greeting customers, poised and dignified. Regular customers crowded in to offer congratulations. Boss Han, you finally have your own shop. From now on, we'll only come to you for our buns. That's right, with your skills, you should have opened a big shop long ago. Han Qinghuan smiled as she handed out cigarettes and candy to everyone, feeling very secure. Over the past half-year, she had worked from dawn till dusk, moving from a mobile stall to having her own shop. With each step firmly grounded, she was no longer the haggard housewife who always stayed by the stove, but a boss lady who could support herself with her own hands. But this sense of security was shattered in no time. At 3 in the afternoon, her mother's family, including her mother, 2 uncles, and an aunt, arrived in a large group and blocked the shop entrance. At the front, her mother's family stood with her hands on her hips, and as soon as she entered, she began to wail loudly. Pan Di, you've really made it big, you've opened such a big shop, yet you don't even recognize your own mother. Han Qinghuan was in the back kitchen checking the ingredients when she heard the commotion. She wiped her hands and walked out. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar faces in front of her, her eyes turned cold. My name is Han Qinghuan, not Han Pan Di. Her voice was not loud, but it carried an undeniable force. If you have something to say, just say it directly. What else could it be? Her second uncle stepped forward, spitting as he spoke. Your brother is getting married, and the bride's family is asking for 200,000 in betrothal gifts, plus a house in the city. You're his sister, and now that you've made it big, you have to pay for this. Yes, Aunt chimed in. Back then, we helped you a lot. Who pooled the money for your travel expenses when you got divorced? Who watched your stall when you were setting up your booth? Now that you're doing well, you want to leave us behind? No way. Hearing these words, Han Qinghuan only found them laughable. When she got divorced back then, she returned to her parents' home with her son. Her mother thought she was unlucky and made her stay in the woodshed. Her second uncle called her a husband killer and forbade his son from talking to her. Her aunt spread rumors everywhere, saying she was a discarded woman. The so-called help was nothing more than giving her 2 cold buns out of pity. Now that she's doing well, these people have the audacity to come knocking for money. The money I used to open the shop was earned by me getting up early and staying up late to sell buns. It has nothing to do with you. Han Qinghuan leaned against the cashier counter, her tone calm. My brother's marriage is his own affair. I am not obligated to provide the betrothal gifts or buy a house for him. You ungrateful wretch. Her mother from her husband's side was so angry that she trembled all over and raised her hand to strike. Han Qinghuan was prepared and grabbed her wrist with such force that she couldn't move. Mom, calm down. Her eyes were as cold as ice. Back then, when Zhang Jianjun kicked me out of the house, penniless, it was you who drove me away. When I set up a stall and my hands cracked from the cold, it was you who said I deserved it. Now that I've survived on my own, you want to come and bleed me dry. From today onwards, we are even. You. Her mother was rendered speechless by her retort, plopping down onto the ground and wailing while slapping her thigh. Heavens, how did I give birth to such an ungrateful daughter? She's rich now and doesn't acknowledge us anymore. Everyone, come and see. Neighbors and customers gathered around, pointing and whispering. Some sympathized with Han Qinghuan, while others thought she was too heartless. Han Qinghuan ignored those gazes. She took out her phone and directly dialed the police station. Hello, is this the police station? There's someone causing trouble in my shop, disrupting my normal business operations. At the mention of calling the police, the relatives immediately panicked. They had only intended to create a scene to force Han Qinghuan to compromise, never expecting that she would actually dare to call the police. You're insane. We are your family. You actually called the police on us. Uncle Air's face turned pale. Here, troublemakers are strangers to me, Han Qinghuan said coldly. her tone devoid of any warmth. Either leave on your own, or go with the police. Choose one. Her maternal mother tried to make a scene, but Uncle Air pulled her up. He glared fiercely at Han Qinghuan and said through gritted teeth, Han Qinghuan, just you wait, we won't let this go. The group left, grumbling and cursing, and the shop finally regained its peace. Just now, Sister Li, who had been helping in the back kitchen, came out and sighed, Boss Han, your relative is really too much. Han Qinghuan smiled, smoothing her hair, which had been pulled out of place, behind her ear. People who go too far need to be dealt with using tough measures. She walked to the shop entrance, looking at the couplet that read, Live cleanly, enjoy life joyfully. Feeling a sense of clarity in her heart. In her previous life, she had compromised her own happiness for the sake of so-called family ties. This time, she would not compromise for anyone. Anyone who wants to consume her or kidnap her will have to ask her rolling pin first. If it agrees. After running the snack shop steadily for over half a year, Han Qinghuan's savings had grown to an amount she never dared to imagine before. With solid skills, honesty, generous portions, and cleanliness, her regular customers came every day, and new ones kept coming. Among those working nearby, picking up kids, or doing business at the market, when Qinghuan's snack shop was mentioned, everyone would give a thumbs up. Some even approached her, asking if she would consider franchising. Boss Han, your flavor is absolutely amazing. I want to open one in another district. Using your name and your recipe, I'm willing to pay more. Han Qinghuan's heart skipped a beat. In her previous life, she had been confined to a small stall, trapped within a limited space all her life. This time, she didn't want to just do small business. She swiftly registered a trademark, organized the recipes and processes, and opened 3 franchise stores in one go. She presided over the main store, taking a commission and supplying goods, and money flowed into her pocket like water. In less than a year, her savings soared into the 7-figure range. She upgraded her car, and her entire demeanor changed. Calm, composed, with a spark in her eyes, everyone who met her would praise her for exuding a powerful presence. On this day, as she was just finishing her inventory and preparing to close up, a dark, skinny, and disheveled man blocked the entrance to the shop. It was Zhang Jianjun. After years of struggles, he had long lost the arrogance of his past. He couldn't take care of the child properly, couldn't make money, and his life was in complete disarray. He looked a decade older. With a worn-out and exhausted appearance, the moment he saw Han Qinghuan, his eyes lit up immediately, and he stepped forward with a greasy yet servile smile. Pundi, I've finally waited for you. I know, you've made it big now. Han Qinghuan took a step back, her gaze as cold as if she were looking at trash. My name is Han Qinghuan. Zhang Jianjun's face turned awkward, but he didn't dare to get angry. He softened his voice and put on an act of regretful remorse. Qinghuan, I know I was wrong before. I was young and immature, and I'm sorry for you and the child. These years of raising the child alone have been really tough. Let's start over, okay? He reached out to grab Han Qinghuan's wrist. Han Qinghuan's eyes turned sharp, and she directly dodged, her voice as cold as ice. Zhang Jianjun, show some respect. Zhang Jianjun was startled by her, yet he still wasn't willing to give up. The child is already so grown up. A family can't be without a mother. Now that you're so wealthy, we can live well as a family of 3. I promise to treat you well in the future and never misbehave again. No need, Han Qinghuan interrupted him, her lips curling into a faint, mocking smile. First, the divorce agreement is crystal clear. The son is yours, and has nothing to do with me. Second, I have money, which I earned through hard work, and it has nothing to do with you. Third, my life is very good now, and I don't need an irresponsible, selfish ex-husband to add trouble. She raised her eyes, her sharp gaze making Zhang Jianjun too afraid to look up. When you were living a carefree life back then, why didn't you think about having a family? Now that I'm rich, you want to come and take advantage of it. Do you deserve it? Zhang Jianjun's face alternated between red and white, feeling both ashamed and angry, yet he didn't dare to react, so he could only soften his stance and plead bitterly. I really know I was wrong. Please, for the sake of the child is yours to raise, not mine. Han Qinghuan's voice was not loud, but every word pierced the heart. My life has already been delayed by you once. There won't be a second time. She couldn't be bothered to look at him again and directly addressed the clerk at the door. If this person comes again, don't let him in. If he affects business, call the police directly. After saying this, she turned and walked into the shop, slamming the glass door shut with a loud clang. Zhang Jianjun stood outside the door, his face alternating between green and white, unable to lift his head in the midst of the passers-bys. Pointing and whispering, inside the shop, an employee couldn't help but whisper, "Sister Han, you were so cool just now." Han Qinghuan wiped her hands and gave a faint smile. "It doesn't matter if it's cool or not, what's important is that she will no longer compromise even a little for anyone. She relies on herself. With a house, a shop, money, and confidence, life is peaceful and comfortable. Why jump back into the mud?" In the evening, she returned to her small apartment, brewed a cup of hot tea, and stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights. The wind was gentle, and her heart was calm. The Han Pundi who once revolved around men, children, and the stove is truly gone. The one living now is Han Qinghuan, sober, self-respecting, wealthy, and confident. Whoever tries to moralize, she retorts back. Whoever tries to bleed her dry, she shuts the door. Who would want to repeat the mistakes of her past life? She wouldn't even spare it a glance. The phone gave a soft beep, and it was the manager of the franchise store sending a message. "Sister, today's sales have hit a new high." Han Qinghuan's lips curved slightly as she replied with two words, "All right, this life, she only wants to live well for herself. Everything else has nothing to do with her." A dozen years passed in the blink of an eye. Han Qinghuan's small food and beverage brand had firmly established itself locally, with 3 direct-operated stores and 2 franchised ones. She no longer needed to manage the stores herself, only focusing on operations and collecting profits. Living a life that was both comfortable and respectable, she bought a car, upgraded to a larger 3-bedroom apartment, dressed elegantly, and exuded a gentle yet commanding presence. Anyone could tell just by looking at her. This was a woman who lived a very good life. That afternoon, she was checking the store's accounts when the door was suddenly pushed open. A young man in his early 20s, dressed flamboyantly with oddly dyed hair, swaggered in, leaned against the cash register, and spoke. In a casual, insolent tone, "You're Han Qinghuan." Han Qinghuan looked up and recognized him at a glance. It was her son. His features resembled Zhang Jianjun's, embodying selfishness, restlessness, and a sense of entitlement. Even the calculating look in his eyes was identical. She didn't rise from her seat, her tone calm. "What do you want?" The young man sneered, as if finding her pretentious. "Stop pretending. You're my mother, I'm your son. My name is Zhang Hao." Han Qinghuan paused mid-stroke, then calmly raised her eyes. "I know, so what?" Zhang Hao was momentarily choked by her attitude, but then he straightened up with righteous indignation. "I'm getting married, the woman wants a house and a car, and we're still short by 300,000. You're my mother, so you have to pay." The surrounding employees instantly fell silent, and customers quietly turned to look. Han Qinghuan put down her pen, leaned back, and her eyes were calm, devoid of any ripple. "First, when your father and I divorced, custody was granted to him, and I am not obligated to support you. Second, I have never spent a single cent of yours, and you have never fulfilled a day of filial duty. Third, the money I have is what I earned through hard work, and it has nothing to do with you." Zhang Hao exploded in anger. "You're my mother, you gave birth to me, so you should take care of me. Other mothers buy cars and houses for their sons, so why shouldn't you?" "Because I don't want to." Han Qinghuan's voice was not loud, but every word was clear. "Your father raised you this big, go find him. Don't come to me with moral blackmail." "My dad has no money," Zhang Hao shouted. "If he had money, would I come to you?" Han Qinghuan, "Let me tell you, you have to give it to me today, whether you want to or not. Otherwise, I'll cause a scene in your shop, and you won't be able to do business." He was about to sit down on the ground. Han Qinghuan's eyes turned cold, and she directly picked up her phone. "You can cause a scene. I'm calling the police right now, accusing you of provocation, extortion, and disrupting business operations. You just turned 18, and spending a few days in jail will leave a criminal record for life." Zhang Hao's face turned pale instantly. He only wanted to cause a scene to force her into submission, never intending to actually end up at the police station. You dare, I'm your son, in my store. Causing trouble makes you a stranger." Han Qinghuan glanced at the security guard by the door. "Please escort him out, he's not allowed in the store again." The security guard immediately stepped forward. Zhang Hao was both afraid and furious, his face turning bright red as he threatened, "Han Qinghuan, you'll regret this. Don't expect me to take care of you when you're old." Han Qinghuan let out a light laugh, her tone calm yet piercing. "I have a house, a car, savings, and insurance, elder care. I don't rely on you. You should worry about yourself first." The security guard escorted Zhang Hao out, half inviting, half dragging. The shop immediately returned to silence. The employee whispered in admiration, "Sister, You're so cool." Han Qinghuan tidied up the receipts and gave a faint smile. "Whoever wants to bleed us dry, keep them out the door. Life is our own, no compromises, no settling." The news of Han Qinghuan driving Zhang Hao away spread back to her hometown within a few days. She had thought this matter would quiet down for a while, but unexpectedly, trouble still found its way to her door. One evening, as she returned from inspecting her franchise store, she saw a group of people blocking her doorstep: her mother, her second uncle, her aunt, and even a distant cousin who hadn't been seen in ages. As soon as they saw her parking, the group immediately surrounded her. Her mother's family's eyes turned red, and she was about to start wailing again. "Han Qinghuan, you heartless one. Zhang Hao is your own son. If you don't take care of him, who will take care of you in your old age?" Her second uncle was even more direct, reaching out to pull her car door. "Now that you're rich and powerful, you don't care about your family's survival. Your brother can't pay his mortgage, and the bank is about to take his house. As your sister, what's wrong with taking out 200,000? "Exactly," her aunt chimed in. "Blood is thicker than water. Can you just watch your relatives in dire straits? If word gets out, people will call you cold-hearted and ruthless." Her cousin also nodded. "Qinghuan, we're all family. Shouldn't we help each other? Now that you're so successful, what's wrong with giving us a hand?" A group of people spoke one after another, using moral coercion in a series of arguments, just as they had done back then. If it had been Han Pundi from her previous life, she would have already panicked, feared, and softened her heart. But the person standing before them now was Han Qinghuan. She turned off the engine, pushed open the car door, her expression calm, but her eyes so cold that no one dared to meet them. "First, Zhang Hao is an adult, with hands and feet. If he wants a house or a car, he should earn it himself. I am not obligated to fill his holes. Second, if my younger brother can't pay his mortgage, it's because he lacks ability, not my responsibility. Third, I have money because I earned it bit by bit, working from dawn till dusk, enduring wind and sun, not because it was blown in by the wind." She paused, her voice not loud, but every word clear. "When I was divorced and at my wit's end, bullied by Zhang Jianjun, and crushed by life to the point of suffocation, where were you? When I was selling from a stall, my hands cracked from the cold, and I suffered heatstroke in the summer, where were you? You kept your distance, afraid of being implicated by me, and behind my back, you said I deserved it. Now that I'm doing well, all of you come forward asking for money. Do you even have the nerve?" Her mother-in-law was left speechless, so she simply sat down on the ground, slapping her thigh and wailing, "How could I have given birth to such a heartless wretch? Once you've got money, you disown your own family." "Oh, heavens above!" Han Qinghuan coldly watched her, showing not the slightest bit of emotion. "Go ahead, cry and make a scene. This is a residential area with surveillance cameras and security guards. I'm about to call the property management and then the police, reporting you for causing trouble and extortion." She took out her phone, ready to dial. Their faces changed instantly. They only bullied ordinary people who were concerned about their reputation and afraid of embarrassment. When they encountered someone like Han Qinghuan who was unyielding and ready to call the police at any moment, they immediately became timid. Jiu quickly pulled back his mother-in-law, who was still trying to make a scene, with a grim expression. "Han Qinghuan, do you really have to go this far? You pushed me to this." Han Qinghuan put away her phone, her tone indifferent. "For the rest of my life, I don't want to be held hostage by anyone. Your family, and I respect that, but if you want to bleed me dry, don't blame me for being ruthless." She raised her eyes, sweeping across the faces in front of her, some filled with anger, others with resentment. "From today onwards, don't come looking for me again. If you disturb my life again, I will go through legal procedures directly, and I won't let anyone off." After saying this, she didn't spare them another glance, turned around, swiped her card to enter the building, and slammed the doors shut with a bang. The curses and cries outside were completely blocked out. Sisterly later heard about this and couldn't help but admire her. "Sister Han, you really have guts. If it were me, I would have been morally blackmailed to death by my relatives." Han Qinghuan picked up her teacup, gently blew on it, and gave a faint smile. "If your heart isn't tough, you won't stand firm. In this lifetime, the person you should be most responsible for is yourself. Whoever tries to drag you into the mud, push them away." She walked to the window and looked down at the brightly lit streets below. The woman who once didn't even dare to refuse others has completely disappeared. Now, she has confidence, a bottom line, and principles. Whoever provokes her, she confronts. Whoever tries to exploit her, she blocks. Life is peaceful, and her heart is at ease. Another half-year passed. Han Qinghuan's life was getting smoother by the day, her catering brand was becoming more stable, her cash flow was abundant, and she had everything arranged clearly: properties, savings, insurance. When she was free, she would work out, take care of her skin, and go on short trips with friends. Her overall state was both steady and radiant, and everyone who saw her praised her for looking younger with each passing day. One day, she had just returned from an inspection trip when she found someone blocking the entrance to her shop. It was Zhang Jianjun. After several years, he had completely fallen apart. His hair was gray and disheveled, his back hunched, his face sallow, wearing clothes that were washed to the point of fading, exuding an aura of destitution and illness. Gone was the arrogance and oiliness of his youth, leaving only pity and humility. As soon as he saw Han Qinghuan, he immediately pushed himself up against the wall, his voice hoarse. "Qinghuan, I know you hate me, but I've truly run out of options." Han Qinghuan didn't stop walking, glancing at him indifferently before heading straight into the shop. "Get to the point." Zhang Jianjun hurried to catch up, blocking the shop entrance, his voice filled with pleading. "I've been diagnosed with lung disease, can't do heavy work, and can barely afford the medicine. Zhang Hao doesn't care about me, just hangs around all day, and I really have no one else to turn to." He looked at Han Qinghuan with pleading eyes, hoping she would feel sympathy. "We were once a married couple, and now that you're in such a good position, just take pity on me and give me some medical expenses. Also, help me find a place to stay. Once I get better, I will serve you like a beast of burden." Several regular customers around looked over, their eyes filled with sympathy. For most women, even if they harbored deep resentment, seeing their ex-husband in such a state would evoke some compassion, but Han Qinghuan merely looked at him coldly. "Zhang Jianjun, you need to get this straight." Her voice was calm, yet devoid of any warmth. "We've been divorced for over a decade, I've never spent a penny of yours, and you've never cared for me for a single day. You got sick because of your own actions, you have no one to care for you because of the consequences of your irresponsible behavior in your youth." Zhang Jianjun's face turned pale. "But I'm the child's father, and you're the child's mother, the custody of the child is yours." Han Qinghuan interrupted directly. "From the day you signed, we are even. I was wrong back then, but I know I was wrong. You don't know you're wrong, you're just out of options." Han Qinghuan's gaze was sharp, piercing through all his pretenses with a single sentence. "When you were healthy, eating and drinking freely, living a carefree life, why didn't you think of finding me? Now that you're sick, poor, and have no one to turn to, you remember me. I'm not a charity, nor am I your fallback." Zhang Jianjun was left speechless, his face alternating between red and white. He lowered his stance, almost pleading. "I really can't hold on much longer, just consider it doing good deeds. I do good deeds, but only help those who are worth helping." Han Qinghuan took a step back to create distance between them. "You abandoned your family and lived a carefree life when you were young. Now that you're old and sick, you want those you once hurt to foot the bill. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world." She raised her eyes to look at the shop assistant. "If this person comes again in the future, handle it as a disturbance and call the police directly." After saying this, she no longer glanced at Zhang Jianjun, turned around, and walked into the shop, leaving him alone at the door, utterly humiliated under the gaze of passers-by. Sisterly felt a sense of satisfaction but also some concern. "Sister, what if something really happens to him? Could he blame us?" Han Qinghuan picked up the water cup, took a gentle sip, and spoke calmly. "I don't owe him anything, nor do I provoke him. Legally, we have no connection whatsoever. He is responsible for his own life. I've already suffered enough once in this lifetime. I won't waste even a fraction of myself on trashy people or trashy matters." She walked to the window and watched the bustling street. The sunlight was just right, and the wind was gentle. The Han Pundi who had wronged her life for the family, for the child, and for the man, was truly gone forever. The one who lived now was Han Qinghuan, clear-headed, independent, wealthy, and confident, unyielding, not overly compassionate, never looking back, who is in distress, who is pitiable, who regrets. None of it concerns her. Her life belongs solely to herself. Zhang Jianjun was turned away, and not long after, Zhang Hao came knocking. This time, he wasn't as arrogant and domineering as when he had come to demand money before. His hair was messy, his clothes were wrinkled, and he looked both dejected and agitated, with panic in his eyes as if he had no way out. As soon as he saw Han Qinghuan, he stopped in his tracks and, with a loud thud, knelt down right at the shop entrance. The surrounding customers immediately erupted in commotion, all turning to look. "Mom, I was wrong, I really know I was wrong." Zhang Hao's head was bowed low, his voice urgent and panicked, tinged with a sob. Dad is so sick he can't get out of bed, and there's not a single penny left in the house, even the medicine has stopped. I shouldn't have yelled at you before, I shouldn't have threatened you, please forgive me just this once. As he spoke, he sneakily glanced up at Han Qinghuan, clearly calculating that she would soften. After all, what mother in the world would truly abandon her son? First, apologize and admit fault, then act pitiful and kneel, and you can always force her to fork over the money. The shop staff and regular customers couldn't bear to watch anymore, whispering to her, Boss Han, maybe, help a little. After all, he's your own son. Yeah, it's quite pitiful to watch. Everyone thought that Han Qinghuan would soften, even Zhang Hao himself felt it was a sure thing, but they were all wrong. Han Qinghuan stood still, looking down at him from above, her eyes calm without a ripple, not even a frown on her brow. Get up. Her voice was calm and devoid of warmth. Don't embarrass yourself in front of my shop. Zhang Hao was taken aback. Not expecting this reaction, he could only continue to plead tearfully, Mom, I've really hit a dead end, just have pity on me. I don't pity you, Han Qinghuan interrupted directly, her tone cold and clear. Your father was young and carefree, neglecting you. You grew up seeking comfort and laziness, only wanting to live off others. Your current predicament is the result of your own choices. She took a step forward, her gaze sharp, piercing through all pretenses with a single sentence. You're not admitting your mistake, you're just out of money and can't hold on anymore, so you're coming to me as a sucker. Zhang Hao's face turned pale instantly, and he knelt on the ground, at a loss for what to do. I will change in the future, I will take care of you in your old age, I will be filial to you. No need. Han Qinghuan gently shook her head, her tone indifferent yet firm. I have a house, savings, insurance, and a career. My later years are not dependent on you for support. You have hands and feet, if you want to save your father and live your life, go earn it yourself. She paused, speaking each word clearly and decisively, cutting off all his hopes. From the day we signed the divorce papers, I ceased to be your mother. I am Han Qinghuan, responsible only to myself. Zhang Hao was completely panicked, his voice trembling as he lay on the ground. You really won't care for me. I'm your son, you are Zhang Jianjun's son, and the custody is with him. Han Qinghuan's gaze showed no wavering. Back then, when I gave up custody, I made it very clear, for this lifetime, I will not raise you. She no longer looked at him, turning her head to speak to the security guard. Please escort him out. If he causes trouble at the door again in the future, call the police directly. You don't need to inform me. The security guard stepped forward, half supporting and half dragging Zhang Hao to his feet. He struggled and cried out the entire way. But Han Qinghuan remained rooted in place, not even sparing him a glance. Only after he was dragged away did the store return to silence. Sisterly sighed, Sister, I was actually feeling a bit soft-hearted just now. You really can harden your heart. Han Qinghuan walked to the cashier's counter, sat down, picked up a glass of warm water, took a sip, and smiled lightly. Being soft-hearted once leads to countless times. I've lived enough for others in this life. This time around, I'll only protect myself. She looked out the window, the sunlight bright and the streets bustling. The woman who used to be suffocated by the roles of mother, wife, and daughter was long gone. The current Han Qinghuan is clear, independent, wealthy, and confident. No mercy, no turning back, no compromises. Bad people, bad things, bad family ties, all kept outside the door. This life, she lives only for herself. As time went on, Han Qinghuan's life had already become the envy of countless others. Her local food and beverage brand had 6 stores, with ample cash flow, a house, a car, comprehensive insurance, reliable employees, steady friends, and a passionate career. She didn't have to watch anyone's face, be bound by anyone, compromise for anyone, or force herself to meet the expectations of the world. There were still people around her who enthusiastically tried to set her up with potential partners, introducing her to blind dates, urging her to get married, and saying things like, "It's good to have a companion when you're old," never ceasing. Han Qinghuan always refused gently but firmly. I am fine living alone, marriage is not a necessity, and I don't want to enter into any relationship that requires me to sacrifice. I lived for others in the first half of my life, and in the second half, I only want to live for myself. Her words were straightforward, her attitude clear. Over time, no one dared to use how a woman should be to control her, and she truly didn't need anyone. No need to handle complex family relationships, no need to accommodate the temper of a partner. No need to argue over daily necessities, No need to place her life in the hands of others. Open a shop when you want, rest when you want, eat what you want, go where you want. True freedom is no more than this, to make the home livelier and to have some companionship. Han Qinghuan went to a pet rescue station and adopted a light yellow mixed-breed puppy. The puppy was well-behaved and clingy, with round eyes. She named it Anan. From then on, the home was filled with a gentle warmth every morning. When she left, Anan would see her off at the door. Every evening when she returned, the moment she opened the door, a little tail would wag furiously, and it would rush over to nuzzle her legs. In her spare time, she would sit on the sofa sipping tea, and Anan would obediently lie at her feet. In the evening, they would take a walk together, one person and one dog, in the setting sun, peaceful and soothing. There was no tumultuous romance, no chaotic household, only a stable career, a peaceful mind, one person, one pet, and 3 meals a day. For seasons a year, enough peace, enough happiness. Meanwhile, Zhang Hao and Zhang Jianjun's lives had already hit rock bottom. Zhang Hao, preferring leisure over labor, lived in debt, his days in shambles. Zhang Jianjun was plagued by serious illness, with no one to care for him, barely managing to survive in a dilapidated rental house. Occasionally, news of their current situation reached Han Qinghuan's ears, but she merely listened indifferently, her heart unmoved. No hatred, no resentment, no heartache, no looking back. That was the path they had chosen themselves. It had nothing to do with her. She had already completely severed ties with the past. At the end of the year, Han Qinghuan handed the store over to a capable manager, and with Anan, she went to a warm southern town. During the day, they watched the sea, took evening walks, and at night, cuddled with the little dog on the sofa to watch dramas. No pressure to marry, no moral coercion, no parasitic relatives, no burdens that couldn't be shaken off. It was just her and Anan, quiet and free. At sunset, Han Qinghuan crouched down and gently stroked An's fluffy head. The little dog obediently rubbed against her palm, its eyes bright and warm. The Han Pundi who had perished in despair in the cold hallway long ago had already vanished without a trace. Now alive is Han Qinghuan, wealthy, leisurely, with a career, and confidence, with a dog, a home, freedom, and passion, not defined by marriage, not bound by childbirth, not consumed by family ties, not compromising for anyone, not settling for anyone, not living for anyone. Her life belongs only to herself. The evening breeze is gentle, and the years are serene. This lifetime, not wasting time, not letting myself down. One person, one pet, a free and easy life. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. It took me 10 years to get Fu Quan to agree to marry me. I even gave up the only opportunity to pursue further studies in the capital for him, staying in this small military hospital. Everyone said that Regiment Commander Fu Quan and Dr. Shen were a perfect match, a couple with both talent and beauty, deeply in love. But when he was carried off the exercise field, lying in the hospital bed covered in blood, he clutched my hand tightly, staring into my eyes, calling out the name of another woman over and over, Qing Yan, Lu Qing Yan. I'm sorry to you, I shouldn't have made you wait so long. Turns out, after his promotion to regimental commander, the first person he wanted to marry was my delicate and helpless cousin, Lu Qingyuan. I looked at his gradually dimming eyes and smiled. Over these 10 years of marriage, every time he gently called me a Tang, with that affectionate gaze. Who exactly was he looking through me to see? Fu Qian, if there's a next life, I'll set you free. But do you know, I didn't have to stay here in the first place. When I opened my eyes again, I was back 10 years ago, at the scene of a major flood rescue operation. Mud and blood blurred my vision. Not far away, the young Fu Quan was carrying a girl, resolutely heading towards the temporary medical station. That girl was Lu Qingyuan. This time, unlike my previous life, I didn't rush over with a medical kit, heedless of the danger. I turned around and handed a bottle of clean water and a package of compressed biscuits to another soldier, caked in mud, who was hungrily devouring a dirty steamed bun on the ground. Comrade, have something to eat first. He looked up, and on his young, dark face, his eyes shone with an astonishing brightness. Thank you. The man's voice was hoarse, as if it had been sanded down with sandpaper. He took the water but didn't drink immediately. Instead, he unscrewed the cap and carefully rinsed his hands, which bore gruesome wounds. Blood and mud mixed together and trickled down. He winced in pain but uttered not a sound. I took out iodine and gauze from the medical kit and crouched in front of him. Give me your hand. He paused for a moment, seemingly surprised that I would care for him. you are a doctor," and in turn, I kept my head down and efficiently tended to his wound. His palm was broad, covered with thick calluses and a mix of old and new scars, resembling a map that had weathered many storms. "If you don't treat your hand, it's going to get infected." My tone wasn't exactly gentle, it was a bit stiff. He grinned, revealing a set of white teeth. "It's okay, we soldiers are tough." I ignored his words and focused on bandaging. From not far away came Lu Qingyuan's weak cry and her comrades' concerned greetings. "Captain Fu is really something. Don't be afraid, Miss Qingyuan. With Captain Fu here, you'll be fine." I didn't even lift an eyelid as I tied a neat knot in the gauze. "All right. Thank you, young comrade." The man flexed his hand and looked at me gratefully. "My name is Hyujo, like the boat." "What's your name?" "Shen Tang." I stood up, ready to leave, but Hyujo called out to me, "Dr. Shen." He fumbled in his pocket for a while and pulled out a neatly wrapped bun in oil paper, offering it to me with some embarrassment. "This one is clean. You haven't eaten anything all day, have you?" "Just to tide you over." I looked at the clean bun in his hand, then at the half-eaten, dirty bun he was biting himself, and something inside me felt gently touched. In my previous life, all I could see was Fu Qian. He came from a prominent family, and at a young age, he had already achieved remarkable military feats, making him the brightest star in the entire military district. After he saved Lu Qingyuan, I took care of his injuries, and Hyujo, I don't even remember such a person. Perhaps he was just one of the countless ordinary soldiers who quietly contributed during the flood, their names only briefly mentioned in the collective record of merit. "You eat it yourself." I shook my head and turned to the next injured person. I no longer wanted any connection with these soldiers. In the following days, I deliberately avoided the areas where Fu Qian appeared. He was the hero of the rescue team, the focus of everyone, and wherever he went, he was surrounded by people. Lu Qingyuan, like a daughter flower, stayed by his side all the time, sometimes handing him water, sometimes wiping his sweat, her delicate and considerate demeanor drawing constant praise from those around her. Captain Fu and Miss Qingyuan are such a perfect match. Exactly, one is a hero, and the other is a beauty. I listened to these discussions, my heart unmoved, even finding them somewhat amusing. That afternoon, the rain started again, the makeshift tents began to leak, and as I was organizing the transfer of patients, a figure rushed in. It was Hyujo. Without a word, he hoisted an elderly man with mobility issues onto his back and ran outside, then turned back to shout at me, "Dr. Shen, help that auntie and follow me." The rain was so heavy that it was hard to keep our eyes open, and the road beneath our feet was muddy and treacherous. I was helping an elderly woman, stepping deeply and shallowly, struggling to move forward. Suddenly, my foot slipped, and I lost control, falling sideways toward the collapsing embankment. The expected pain didn't come. Instead, I fell into a firm and scorching embrace. Hyujo had rushed over at some point, shielding me tightly beneath him. A mixture of mud and rocks, along with rainwater, surged over our heads, and he took it all on with his own back, protecting me. I could clearly hear the dull thud of the stones hitting his back. "Hyujo," I cried out in panic, "don't be afraid." His voice was muffled by the earth, yet unusually clear. "I'm fine." After an unknown amount of time, the rain began to subside. He struggled to get up, his military uniform no longer recognizable in its original color, his back a bloody mess. Yet, as if nothing had happened, he first pulled me up, checking me over from head to toe. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head, my eyes welling up. Only then did he relax, turning to help the old lady who was so frightened her legs had gone weak. In the distance, Fu Quan arrived with a few others, and he immediately spotted me in my disheveled state. "Shen Tang." His voice carried a hint of uncertainty, his brows furrowed tightly. This was the first time he had accurately called out my name. In my previous life, he always addressed me as "Hey," or "that doctor," until I pursued him for 2 years before he finally remembered my name. And this life, we clearly have no connection at all. I didn't respond to him, just quickly walked over to Hyujo's side, supporting his unsteady body. "I'll take you to the medical point." Hyujo's lips were pale, but he was still smiling. "This little injury, no need." "Shut up." It was the first time I had ever been so harsh with someone, and tears almost fell from my eyes. "If you say another word, do you believe I'll give you a shot of tranquilizer right now?" Hyujo was startled by my shout and immediately fell silent. I supported him and walked past Fu Qian, not glancing at him even once. I could feel Fu Qian's gaze, like nails, piercing into my back. In the medical station, I personally tended to the wounds on Hyujo's back. His injuries were more severe than I had imagined. With over a dozen cuts of varying sizes, some deep enough to see the bone, I used tweezers to remove embedded gravel from his flesh, his body tensed with pain, his forehead drenched in cold sweat, yet he clenched his teeth and uttered not a sound. "If it hurts, cry out," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "It's nothing," he replied, looking at me through the reflection in the mirror, a grin spreading across his face. "You're treating my wounds. I'm too happy for it to hurt." This man, even in such a state, still had the mood to joke. I gave him an annoyed look, but my movements became gentler. After treating the wound, I had him lie down on the bed to rest, but he grabbed my wrist. His palm was very hot, covered with rough calluses that tickled my skin. "Dear Shen," he said, looking at me intently. "Thank you today. I should be the one thanking you," I said, pulling my hand away. "Get some rest. I'm going to check on other patients." I fled the tent as if escaping. I admit, my heart was in turmoil. Hyujo was different from all the men I had ever met. Unlike Fu Quan, who was dazzling, he was like a tree rooted in the earth, silent, yet capable of shielding you from the wind and rain. In the evening, I returned to the tent with a bowl of steaming ginger soup noodles, but Hyujo's bed was empty. I was startled and quickly set the bowl down to go look for him. As soon as I stepped out of the tent, I saw two figures standing under a tree not far away. One is Fu Quan, and the other is Hyujo. "Why did you approach her?" Fu Quan's voice was cold, carrying a tone of interrogation. "She is not someone you should be involving yourself with, Captain Fu." "I don't understand what you mean," Hyujo replied, his tone neither servile nor overbearing. "I and Dr. Shen are merely comrades, just comrades." Fu Quan let out a cold laugh. "Hyujo, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Shen Tang is the daughter of the city hospital's director. She's here just to experience life and will soon return to the city. You and her are from different worlds." My grip on the bowl tightened slightly. So, he had already investigated my family background thoroughly. In my previous life, he was the same. After I pursued him for 2 years, he finally condescended to learn about my family. His gaze, as if evaluating a commodity. "My world is simple." Hyujo's voice was calm and resolute. "Whoever treats me well, I treat them well. Dr. Shen saved my life, and in my heart, she is the best person. It has nothing to do with who her father is." Fu Jing seemed to be choked for a moment, and after a while, he spoke. "I'm doing this for your own good. Don't get too involved. You'll only end up hurting yourself." "Thank you for your concern, Commander Fu," Hyujo said, "but my affairs are none of your business." With that, he turned and walked away, colliding right into me. "Dr. Shen," he looked at me, flustered, his cheeks flushing suspiciously red in the dim light. I shoved the bowl I was holding into his arms. "Eat while it's hot." Then, I walked past him and directly approached Fu Qian. "Captain Fu." I looked up at him, my gaze calm. "Who I choose to be friends with is my own business. Please, don't investigate my private life. We're not that close." Fu Qian's face immediately darkened. He had probably never been confronted so directly by a woman before. "Shen Tang," he said through gritted teeth, enunciating each word. "Do you know what you're doing?" "I'm very clear," I replied with a slight smile. "But Captain Fu, instead of worrying about other people's affairs, you should pay more attention to your Qing Yan sister. I just saw her looking unwell again." With that, I turned away from him and grabbed Hyujo's wrist, pulling him away. "Let's go back and eat noodles." The man I was pulling along was as stiff as a rock. I could feel his heartbeat, racing as if it were about to burst out of his chest. Back at the tent, Hyujo still looked completely out of it. He held the bowl of noodles, the steam rising, but his face was even redder than before. "Dr. Shen," he stammered, what about what I just did?" I teased him on purpose. "I helped you out of a tight spot. Shouldn't you thank me?" "No, that's not what I meant," he said, flustered, as he scratched his hair. "I mean, you and Captain Fu." "I have no relationship with him," I interrupted him, my tone decisive. "There was no relationship before, there is no relationship now, and there will be even less of a relationship in the future." Hyujo looked at me, his eyes like a starry sky, sparkling. He didn't say anything more, lowering his head to eat the noodles in big gulps. The bowl was soon empty, and he even drank all the soup. After finishing, he returned the bowl to me and said solemnly, "Dr. Shen, this is the best noodles I've ever eaten in my life." I couldn't help but laugh at his serious expression. "It's just a bowl of instant noodles. Is it really that important?" "It is," he nodded, his eyes unusually sincere. "Really." In the following days, the rescue Operations were drawing to a close. To others, the relationship between Hyujo and me seemed to have taken on a somewhat subtle shift. He would silently help me carry the heaviest medical kit to the car, slip me a warm bun when I was too busy to eat, and patrol extra near my tent during night shifts. He never said much, but his care, like warm water, gradually seeped into my life. And Fu Quan was like an inescapable ghost. He would always, coincidentally, appear where I was talking with Hyujo, staring at us with that scrutinizing, oppressive gaze. Once, Hyujo was teaching me how to weave small animals with willow branches. Despite being a rough man, his fingers were quite dexterous. In no time, a lifelike little rabbit took shape in his hands. "This is for you," he said, handing me the willow rabbit. His dark cheeks carried a hint of shyness. I had just taken it when Fu Quan's voice rang out from behind me. "This is work time. What kind of behavior is this, pulling and tugging?" His tone was stern, as if reprimanding a soldier who had made a mistake. Hyujo immediately stood at attention and saluted. "Report to Captain Fu." I saw everything you were doing," Fu Quan interrupted him, his gaze falling on the willow twig rabbit in my hand. "Hyujo, your mission is to protect the lives and property of the people, not to craft little trinkets here to win the favor of girls. Return to your unit and submit a 1,000-word self-criticism to me." Hyujo's face turned pale, his lips moved, but in the end, he said nothing, lowering his head and turning to leave. I was so angry that my whole body trembled. "Fu Zheng," I rushed in front of him, glaring up at him. "You're using your position for personal revenge." "I'm just doing my duty," Fu Zheng said expressionlessly. "The military has its discipline." "What a fine military discipline," I laughed in anger, throwing the willow twig rabbit in my hand at him. "Then may I ask Captain Fu, does spending every day walking and chatting with Miss Lu Qingyuan count as violating military discipline?" Fu Zheng's face turned grim in an instant. "That's two different matters." "What's the difference?" I pressed on relentlessly. "Just because he's Hyujo and you're Fu Zheng, just because he's an ordinary soldier and you're a company commander, Shentang." Fu Zheng's eyes flared with anger. "Do you really have to speak to me like this over someone who's irrelevant to you?" "He is not an unrelated person," I enunciated clearly. "He is a friend I have chosen. Anyone who bullies my friend will not be tolerated by me." After saying this, I didn't even glance at his ashen face and turned to run towards Hyujo. I found him in the small woods behind the camp. He was sitting alone on the ground, his head lowered, lost in thought. Hearing the footsteps, he looked up, saw it was me, and quickly stood up, forcing a smile that looked worse than crying. "Dr. Shen, why are you here?" "I came to apologize to you." I walked up to him and said seriously, "I'm sorry, I've implicated you. It's not your fault." He shook his head. "It's my problem. Captain Fu is right. I shouldn't have." "He's wrong," I interrupted him loudly. "It's him abusing his power. It's him making a mountain out of a molehill. You don't need to write a single word of that confession." Hyujo stared at me in shock, his eyes filled with astonishment. "I'm going to talk to your supervisor. I'll tell him everything in detail." "I don't believe there's no place to reason," I said and made to leave. "Don't go." Hyujo grabbed me tightly. His strength was immense, like a pair of iron pliers. "Shentang." This was the first time he called me by my name instead of Dr. Shen. "Don't go. Let's just let this matter go." "Why?" I looked at him in confusion. "You're not wrong. Why should you suffer this injustice?" Guizhou looked at me, his expression complicated. After a long silence, he said softly, "I don't want to cause you trouble." At that moment, my heart felt as if it had been viciously gripped by something. This fool, even though I was the one who had suffered a great injustice, all I thought about was not causing trouble for him. In my previous life, Fu Quan had once publicly reprimanded a young military officer who was pursuing Lu Qingyuan. Back then, I thought he was so impressive, protecting the one he loved. Now I understand that it wasn't protection, it was abuse of power, it was bullying with authority. A truly upright man would never use his position to oppress others. The flood rescue operation has finally come to an end. The night before the troops were to withdraw, a military-civilian celebration was held, and everyone was in high spirits. Only I felt a bit down. I knew that after this parting, I might never see Hyujo again. He was a soldier, returning to his barracks, and I, too, would return to my city, my hospital, and continue my life. In the end, we were from two different worlds. This time, Fu Quan's words turned out to be prophetic. At the party, Hyujo never showed up. I searched the entire camp and finally found him by the river. He was sitting there alone, staring at the rushing river, lost in thought. "Why didn't you go to the party?" I walked over and sat down beside him. He turned his head and, seeing it was me, seemed a bit surprised. "Why are you here?" It's so lively there, without you. No matter how lively it is, it has nothing to do with me, I blurted out, after speaking. I realized it might not have been appropriate, and my cheeks flushed slightly. He Jingzhou was also stunned. He looked at me, and his ears turned red visibly. An awkward yet delicate silence fell between us. Eventually, he broke the silence first. Shentang, we are leaving tomorrow. I know. My voice was very low. Take care of yourself in the future. You too. Another silence. I hate this feeling. I don't want our farewell to be filled with hesitation and regret. In my previous life, I missed too much. In this life, I don't want to miss anything again. I took a deep breath, turned to look at him, and asked word by word, Hyujo, do you have a partner? Hyujo was caught off guard by my straightforward question and stammered for a long time before managing to reply, and no. Then, what do you think of me? I pressed on. You. His face was already as red as if it were about to bleed. You're great. You're the best girl I've ever met. Well, I looked into his eyes, my heart pounding. Would you like to go out with me? The air seemed to freeze at that moment. Jizhou widened his eyes, as if unable to believe what he had just heard. He opened his mouth, but not a single word came out. Just as I thought he was about to refuse and I was preparing to awkwardly retract my confession, he suddenly stood up abruptly. I'm going to ask our captain what kind of report we need to file for soldiers to date. After speaking, he ran back to the camp without looking back, his speed even faster than a 100-meter sprint. Watching his panicked escape, I couldn't help but laugh. Laughing, tears suddenly fell. The next day, the troops assembled, preparing to withdraw. Standing among the crowd bidding farewell, I spotted Hyujo at a glance. He was also looking at me. We gazed at each other from afar, separated by the crowd, our eyes conveying 1,000 words. The convoy slowly began to move, and he stood on the military truck, waving vigorously at me. I smiled and waved back at him. At that moment, Fu Quan walked up to me. You really chose him. His voice carried an emotion I couldn't quite understand. Yes. I didn't look at him, my gaze fixed on the truck that was disappearing into the distance. Do you know him? Fu Quan said. His family lives in a remote mountain area, his parents are farmers, and he has a younger brother and sister to support. His monthly allowance might not even be enough for you to buy a single piece of clothing. Being with him will be very hard. I know how hard it is for me. I withdrew my gaze and finally looked directly at Fu Qian. Captain Fu, thank you for your concern. However, my life doesn't need you to interfere. I just don't want you to regret it in the future. I won't regret it. I looked at him, my eyes firm. Fu Qian, not everyone in this world values family background over emotions like you do. Hyujo is very good. He's 1,000 times, 10,000 times better than you. After saying that, I turned and left, never looking back. I don't want to waste even a single second of my time on this man anymore. My life has already started anew, and this person will be completely a thing of the past. Returning to the city, I immediately confronted my father, declaring that I wanted to date Hyujo. My father was the director of the municipal hospital, a man of noble character all his life, so naturally, he looked down on someone like Hyujo, a peasant. Nonsense. He slammed the newspaper in his hand onto the table. What kind of spell did that soldier boy cast on you? Let me tell you, I don't agree, Dad. I calmly looked at him. This is my own matter, and I hope you can respect my choice. Respect? My father laughed in anger. Shentang, you are my only daughter, and I have planned the best future for you. You can marry anyone, but never a penniless soldier. He's not just a poor soldier. His name is Hyujo. I corrected him. And besides, he's the best person I've ever met. Good. What's so good about him? My father scoffed. Can he help you advance your studies or provide you with a comfortable life? Shentang, you're too naive. Love doesn't put food on the table. I know love doesn't put food on the table, I said, but Dad, a marriage without love is even more suffocating. These words struck a nerve with my father. He and his mother were bound by a business alliance, treating each other with respect all their lives but devoid of any real affection. After his mother's death, his father never smiled again. He fell silent. I knew he needed time to come to terms with it. From that day on, Hyujo and I began our carrier pigeon correspondence. His military unit was strictly managed, prohibiting the use of mobile phones, so we could only stay in touch through letters. His letter was very short, always the same few lines. Shentang, seeing your name is like seeing you. Today's training went smoothly. Don't worry, Shentang, today we received our allowance. I sent you some jerky made by our army. Try it, Shentang. It's getting cold. Wear more clothes. Don't catch a cold. The handwriting wasn't exactly neat, crooked and childlike, like that of a primary school student, but I knew that every word was written with his heart. He sent most of his monthly allowance back home, and the small remainder he spent entirely on things for me: food, clothes, necessities, whatever he thought I might need. He would go out of his way to send to me. I had sent him money a few times, but he returned it untouched each time. In the letter, he lost his temper with me for the first time. "Shentang, I know you mean well for me, but I am a man, and I need to support my woman with my own abilities. Keep your money for yourself, don't send me money anymore." Looking at the letter, I felt both angry and amused. This man, so stubborn yet so adorable. Our feelings gradually grew warmer through these letters. 6 months later, Hyujo's unit was relocated to a military area not far from our city. He wrote me a letter, saying that he had been granted leave to visit his family and wanted to come see me. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep all night. That day, I specially took leave, put on my newly bought dress, and went to the station to pick him up. When he appeared at the exit in his crisp military uniform, I recognized him almost instantly. He was darker and thinner than when he was fighting the flood, but his eyes were brighter, and his posture was more upright. He was carrying a large package, anxiously searching for something in the crowd. "Hyujo," I waved vigorously at him. He saw me, and his eyes lit up instantly. He strode towards me with great urgency, as if he couldn't wait to take a single step to reach me. "Shentang." He stood before me, his voice trembling with excitement. We looked into each other's eyes, and the bustling crowd around us faded into a blurred backdrop. We spoke at the same time, then paused simultaneously, and smiled at each other. "You go first." He scratched his head innocently. "I just wanted to say, you look really handsome in your military uniform." I sincerely complimented. His face turned red instantly, and he avoided eye contact, not daring to look at me. "Let's go, I'll take you to eat." I smiled and took his hand. His hands were still so rough and so hot. This time, he didn't pull away. He gripped my hand tightly, as if trying to embed me into his life. I brought Hyujo home. Father's expression wasn't very pleasant when he saw him, but he didn't oppose as vehemently as last time. He scrutinized Hyujo from head to toe, his gaze like that of someone examining a product up for sale. "Are you Hyujo?" "Yes, uncle." Hyujo stood straight, his voice loud and clear. "Where is your family from? What do your parents do?" My father began his interrogation. Hyujo answered without any hesitation, providing all the details honestly. When he heard about his family's situation, my father's brow furrowed even deeper. "Shao-he," my father's tone carried a subtle, undetectable sense of superiority. "Although our family isn't particularly wealthy, Ah Tang has been raised with utmost care since childhood, never having suffered any hardships. With your circumstances, I'm afraid you can't provide her with happiness." "Dad," I felt a bit displeased. "Uncle, you're right," Hyujo responded calmly. "I indeed can't currently offer Shentang the best life. However, I promise you, I will love her with my life, protect her, and ensure she never suffers any grievance. I will work hard, with everything I have, to ensure she lives a good life." His gaze was as firm as steel, tempered in fire. His father looked at him, silent. That noon, his father had dinner with Hyujo. At the table, he didn't bring up the objection again, but he didn't give Hyujo a good look either. On the way back to the barracks, I asked him with some concern, "My dad, don't take it to heart." "I didn't." Hyujo smiled at me. "Uncle is doing it for your own good. I can understand. What he said is also the truth. It's just that I don't have the ability right now." The more he said this, the more uncomfortable I felt inside. "Don't say that." I held his hand. "You're great, really." He held my hand back, whispering, "Shentang, wait for me, give me 3 years, I will definitely make something of myself, and come to marry you in glory." I looked at his serious profile and nodded vigorously. However, neither of us expected the change to come so quickly. Not long after Hyujo returned to his unit, Fu Quan was also transferred to this military district, and even became Hyujo's direct superior. This news was what Hyujo told me in his letter. At the end of the letter, he wrote, "You can rest assured, I won't let him affect us." But how could I possibly feel at ease with Fu Quan's vengeful nature? How could he possibly let Hyujo off so easily? Sure enough, not long after, I heard news from a friend who worked at a military hospital. Fu Jing targeted Hyujo in every training session, assigning him the heaviest tasks and demanding the strictest standards from him. There were several occasions when Hyujo collapsed on the training field due to physical exhaustion. I was extremely worried and immediately took leave to go to the military district. I didn't inform Hyujo. Instead, I went straight to Fu Zhang's office. When I pushed the door open, he was on the phone, seemingly talking to Lu Qingyuan. With a tenderness in his voice that I had never heard before, seeing me, he paused for a moment, then hung up the phone. "What are you doing here?" His tone immediately turned cold. "Fu Qian," I got straight to the point. "Come at me, don't make things difficult for Hiyujo." Troubling him, Fu Jing seemed to find it amusing. "Shen Tang, do you overestimate him too much? I was just conducting normal training. It's his own lack of skill. You dare say you didn't have personal motives?" I coldly stared at him. "Fu Zheng, you really disgust me." Disgust. He stood up, stepping closer to me with each step, his powerful aura pressing down on me so much that I could barely breathe. "Shen Tang, what exactly do you see in him, in terms of family background, ability, future prospects? What aspect am I inferior to him?" "You are inferior in every aspect." I met his gaze without fear. "You have a good family background, strong abilities, and boundless prospects, but what you carry in your heart has never been me. Fu Zheng, your feelings for me are nothing more than the turmoil of unfulfilled possessiveness. Even without Hiyujo, I would never choose you, because you are not worthy." Fu Qian's face turned pale in an instant. He looked at me, his eyes filled with shock, anger, and a hint of hurt. I must have been mistaken. How could this man possibly get hurt? "Good, very good." He suddenly smiled. A smile filled with a hint of madness. "Shen Tang, just wait, I'll soon make you realize how terribly wrong your choice today was." Coming out of Fu Qian's office, my hands and feet were ice cold. I didn't know what he meant by how terribly wrong, but I had a bad feeling. I waited for a long time at the military base entrance before finally seeing Hiyujo finish his training. He looked even darker and thinner, with unmistakable signs of fatigue on his face, but his eyes lit up immediately when he saw me. "Why are you here?" he exclaimed joyfully as he ran over. "I came to see you," I said, gently touching his sunburned, peeling face, feeling a pang of heartache. "Haven't you been eating properly again?" "Ate." He held my hand, smiling like a child. "Come, I'll take you to see our dormitory." I followed him inside, and along the way, we met many of his comrades. "Hey, Yujo, is this your wife? She's really beautiful." "Hello, sister-in-law." Hiyujo's face turned red from their teasing, but he still stood tall and introduced me loudly. "This is my partner, Shen Tang." That proud look, as if he owned the whole world. My heart, both sour and tender. I followed him to the dormitory, an 8-person room with simple furnishings, but the bedding was folded neatly like tofu blocks, clean and tidy. He took out a small wooden box from his own cabinet, presenting it like a treasure. Opening the box, I found it filled with all the letters he had written to me and those I had written to him. Each one was carefully wrapped in brown paper and neatly stacked. Beside the letters, there was also a small figure made from bullet casings. "This is what I made," he said, picking up the figure, a bit shy. "It's not very good, don't mind." I took the heavy bullet casing figure, my eyes welling up, and tears nearly fell. "This man, he's always like this, with his most clumsy yet sincere approach. He presents all the things he believes are the best, right in front of me." I stayed to have dinner with him. The food in the cafeteria was simple, but he ate with great relish, constantly serving me more. "Eat more, you're too thin." Looking into his possibly bright eyes, I swallowed the words that had reached my lips. I couldn't let him know I had come to find Fu Qian. Given his temperament, he would surely start overthinking, believing he had dragged me down. I could only pray in my heart that Fu Qian wouldn't go too far, but I was still too naive. A month later, the military region held its annual military skills competition. Hiyujo, with his outstanding performance, fought his way through the rounds and made it to the finals. His opponent in the finals was a soldier personally trained by Fu Quan. Everyone thought Hiyujo was sure to win. However, an unexpected incident occurred during the final event, the armed cross-country race. When Hiyujo was climbing over an obstacle, the rope under his feet suddenly snapped, and he fell from the 3-meter-high obstacle wall, fracturing his left leg on the spot. When I received the call and rushed to the military hospital, he had already been taken into the operating room. I waited outside the operating room, my body icy cold, as if plunged into an ice cave. Fu Quan also arrived. He stood opposite me, his face equally grim. "The rope is new, we checked it, there's no problem," he said, his voice hoarse. "Is that so?" I raised my head, my bloodshot eyes glaring at him. "Fu Qian, if anything happens to Hiyujo, I absolutely won't let you off." He looked at me, his lips moved, but in the end, he said nothing. The surgery lasted 3 hours. When the light in the operating Room went out and the doctor came out. I was the first to rush up. "Doctor, how is he?" "The surgery was successful," the doctor said, removing his mask. "However, his left leg is a comminuted fracture. Even if he recovers, he may never be able to undergo intense training again." Unable to undergo high-intensity training. What does this sentence mean to a man who regards military service as his life? It means that his military career is over. My body swayed, almost unable to stand. Fu Zheng supported me. I flung his hand away with all my strength, delivering a hard slap to his face. "Fu Zheng, are you satisfied now?" My voice, hoarse and unfamiliar to my own ears. "You destroyed him, you destroyed everything for him." After waking up, Hyujo didn't say a single word. He just stared blankly at the ceiling, his face expressionless, his eyes empty, devoid of any light. I know he heard everything. The doctor's words were like a blade, severing all his pride and dreams. I sat by his bedside, holding his hand, repeating over and over, "It's okay, Hyujo, it's okay. Even if you can't be a soldier, you still have me. I'll always be by your side." He showed no reaction. Later, the unit's leaders and comrades came to visit him. Everyone chimed in to comfort him, saying many encouraging words. He just smiled politely, but that smile was uglier than crying. After everyone left, only the two of us remained in the ward. He suddenly spoke, his voice hoarse and strained. "Shentang, let's break up." I was stunned, as if struck by lightning. "What did you say?" I said. "Let's break up." He turned his head, looking at me with a gaze I had never seen before, cold and unfamiliar. "I'm not worthy of you anymore, Hyujo." I was trembling with anger. "You bastard, how could you say such a thing? In your heart, do you think I'm that kind of woman who only loves wealth and can't share hardships?" "No." He shook his head, his eyes reddening. "You're very good, it's me who's not good. I'm now a useless person. I can't give you happiness, I'll only drag you down." "I don't care," I cried out. "I don't care if you can give me happiness or not. I just want you. Hyujo, look at me, tell me, do you not love me anymore?" He looked at me, tears streaming down the corners of his eyes. He didn't answer my question, just repeated that same phrase, "Let's break up, Shentang, forget me." After saying that, he closed his eyes and refused to look at me again for the next few days. No matter what I said or did, he acted like a wooden doll, completely ignoring me. My life seemed to have suddenly hit rock bottom. Just as I was about to despair, Fu Quan found me. He handed me a document. "This is Hyujo's application for transfer and a recommendation letter to send you for further studies at the Capital Military Medical University," he said. "As long as you sign the recommendation letter, I guarantee that Hyujo can transfer to the best unit in the city." I looked at him as if staring at a devil. "Fu Zheng, you are truly despicable to the extreme. I'm just helping you make a choice." Fu Zheng's expression was calm. "Shentang, you're a smart girl, you know what choice is best for you. Hyujo is ruined, he can't give you the future you want, but I can give you everything." I laughed until tears streamed down my face. "Fu Zheng, you'll never understand." I picked up the recommendation letter and tore it to shreds right in front of him. "I told you, my life doesn't need you to interfere." I turned and walked into the ward, slapping my household registration book on the bedside table in front of Hyujo. "Hyujo, I'm telling you this today. If you want to break up, fine, but unless you never want to see me again for the rest of your life, or," I said, looking into his shocked eyes, each word deliberate, "we'll get the certificate tomorrow. It's your choice." Hyujo ultimately did not choose to break up. The next day, I pushed him in a wheelchair to the Civil Affairs Bureau. No flowers, no rings, and not even the blessings of our families. We just went and got that red marriage certificate. When I handed him the marriage certificate, this tall, strong man over 6 feet, cried like a child. "Shentang, are you stupid or what? You're the fool," I said, laughing through my tears as I hugged him. "Hyujo, listen carefully, you're mine now. You're stuck with me for the rest of your life." Our marriage was met with strong opposition from my father. He even threatened to sever our father-daughter relationship. I did not compromise. I moved out and rented a small place near the hospital, where I began a new life with Hyujo. Those days were very tough. Hyujo's leg healed very slowly. He became quiet and withdrawn, even a bit self-conscious. He felt like a burden, dragging me down. I didn't give up. Every day after work, I would accompany him for rehabilitation exercises. I told him funny stories from the hospital, read newspapers to him, and tried every possible way to cheer him up. I know that physical wounds are easy to heal, but emotional wounds are hard to mend. I must help him regain his spirit. With my encouragement, he began to try doing things within his ability. he learned to cook and kept the house in perfect order. He also used his skillful hands to make me all sorts of little trinkets. Our small home, though humble, was filled with warmth. Year later, Hyujo's leg had mostly recovered. Although he could no longer engage in strenuous sports, normal walking was no longer an issue. He transferred to a state-owned factory and became an ordinary security officer. The job was leisurely, and the pay was not high, but he took it very seriously. Our lives gradually fell into a routine. Another year passed, and I became pregnant. This news made Hyujo as happy as a fool. He spun me around in his arms several times, then carefully set me down, so nervous he could hardly stand it. From that day on, he treated me as a top priority for protection. He wouldn't let me do a single chore and cooked delicious meals for me every day in various ways. I gained over 20 pounds, but he said I looked beautiful no matter what. On the day I gave birth, he waited outside the delivery room for over 10 hours. When I was wheeled out, he was the first to rush up, not even glancing at the baby, and held my hand. Tang Tang, you've worked so hard. His eyes were bloodshot, and his voice choked with emotion. In that moment, I felt that all the hardships of my life were worth it. We named our child Hsian, hoping he would live a peaceful life. Hsian's arrival brought more laughter and joy to our home. Hyujo also became increasingly cheerful, spending time playing with the child and telling him stories, proving to be a truly great father. A few years later, Fu Quan also got married. The bride was Lu Qingyuan. Their wedding was grand. Almost everyone in the city knew about it. I found out about this from the newspaper. In the photo, Fu Quan was wearing a sharp suit, and Lu Qingyuan was dressed in a pure white wedding gown. They were a perfect match, both in looks and talent. Hyujo also saw that newspaper. He hugged me from behind, his chin resting on the top of my head, and softly asked, "Do you regret it?" I smiled and shook my head. Why would I regret it? What I have now is the best in the world. He held me even tighter. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hyujo, with his steadfastness, hard work, and the indomitable spirit of a soldier, rose from a small security officer to become the deputy factory director. Our life is getting better and better. We bought a new house, a car, and Hsian is now in elementary school, doing well academically and behaving very politely, and I have become the youngest chief physician at the city hospital. We have become the couple that everyone envies. Only I know how hard-earned this happiness is. Once, I attended a medical seminar and unexpectedly ran into Fu Zheng. He looked much older than he had 10 years ago, with graying temples and eyes that no longer held the vigor of his youth, only weariness. We simply nodded at each other from a distance, without speaking. Later, I learned from my colleagues that his marriage to Lu Qingyuan was not a happy one. Lu Qingyuan's health was poor, and she had no children. Over the years, she had devoted all her energy to maintaining her health and indulging in suspicion, making Fu Quan's life miserable. And Fu Quan, it seemed, had always harbored resentment towards the choice I made back then. After the meeting, I waited for a car at the hotel entrance, and Fu Quan walked over. "Long time no see," he said, his voice hoarse. "Long time no see, Director Fu," I responded politely. A long silence fell between us. Are you doing well?" he finally asked. "I'm fine." I looked towards the distance where Hyujo was driving over. His window was rolled down, and he was smiling and waving at me. I also smiled and waved at him. "Is he good to you?" Fu Zheng's gaze also fell on that car. "He's very good," I said. "Fu Zheng, do you know, I have never regretted my choice back then. Because of Hyujo, he made me understand what true love is. True love is not about possession, not about control, not about measuring with family background and future prospects. It is about respect, trust, and the willingness to stay together through poverty or wealth, illness or health. For a lifetime." I turned my head and looked at him. "Speaking seriously, I am very happy, and I also hope that you can find your own happiness." After saying that, I nodded slightly at him and turned to walk towards Hyujo's car. Hyujo got out of the car, opened the door for me, and naturally took the bag from my hand. "Tired?" he asked. "Not tired," I said, getting into the car and looking at his gentle profile. "Let's go home." "Okay, let's go home." The car slowly started moving. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Fu Qian still standing in place, like a lonely statue. I withdrew my gaze and held Hyujo's hand. His hand, still so rough and warm, gave me the most reassuring strength. In my previous life, I spent 10 years chasing an unattainable star, only to end up scarred all over. In this life, I chose a tree that is willing to shelter me from the storms. I finally understand that a true home is not a place, but a person, a harbor where you can let down all your defenses and feel safe to dock. I am grateful that I have found my harbor. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.